at City Hall, and we announced the arena deal, Fox and Liberty. And we were coordinated. It was choreographed. And then I was a speechwriter when I was a kid. And I had the blessing to do some work for the governor of New York when he was vice president, Nelson Rockefeller. And he had that famous picture where he was being heckled and he offered his opinion of that. And that picture of him flipping the bird was, I figured, a nice gift to send Dave Checketts, who was a good friend of mine, by the way.
I love it. I never knew that. I love it.
On the court and off, your home for the NBA is SiriusXM. Follow all the drama as your favorite team vies for it all. SiriusXM NBA Radio. SiriusXM 86.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your...
You're listening to NHL Play-by-Play on SiriusXM.
Minute pregame show as the Leafs host the Wild at Scotiabank Arena, and they won't be at home for much longer. It's a very weird schedule coming up.
Yeah, last home game for 24 days. Only 2 home games between tomorrow, I guess, and March 13th, which seems like...
It's still January. When you say March,
I'm like... very long time
what?
From now. Life will be completely different March 13th.
Hopefully
it seems
spring.
like January has lasted forever.
That's true.
It feels like it's a long time between now and March 13th. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like, it's definitely situational. But I do feel like, okay, you're not playing much hockey. There's a 2-week break for the Maple Leafs. And they're a pretty healthy team right now that is going to be getting some bodies back. I feel like they could really hit the ground running once they all arrive back from their beach vacations or the Four Nations face-off. Feel really, really good about just having a healthy unit going into the stretch drive of the season and making a real run this year.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to kind of put a big stamp on your great home record for now. With Leafs have played pretty well at home, even if the fans weren't loud enough. But you've had a little bit of a dip here. We just talked about the mid-season malaise, but traditionally been pretty good at home. Let's talk a little bit about the Wild side of it all with Joe Smith of The Athletic, who's joining us from the headset at Scotiabank Arena. Joe, we appreciate you jumping on. How's it going?
Good. How about you guys?
We're doing well. Jealous that it sounds loud in there already. I mean, the fans have been getting a little bit of heat in this market for not being loud enough. So you might get a really loud game tonight at Scotiabank Arena. So we're looking forward to it. Let's ask you a little bit about, obviously, the big story is no Kirill Kaprizov for the next little bit. And, of course, he's been just the highlight of the season in terms of watching from afar. It's been unbelievable what he's kind of been able to do, and now he's on IR and undergoing surgery to repair a lower body injury. But doesn't seem as serious as when you say that, because it seems like he could be back in the lineup in just a few weeks. How do you evaluate where Kaprizov is at and then the surgery that he had to understand?
Well, like, you look at that, he was like in the Hart Trophy frontrunner, first 2.5 months of the season until he had that lower body injury that kind of shut him down since after Christmas. And they tried to avoid surgery and just do rehab and rest. And then he skated for a couple of weeks hard before rejoining the team a few games ago and tried to give it a shot, but he just wasn't comfortable. And like John Hines said, he just hard to get through game. And probably around 60%, in which 60% of Kirill Kaprizov is better than a lot of players in the National Hockey League, but not good enough for him and not good enough for the Wild. And so they decided to take this route, surgery, which obviously is not ideal to be missing your top player, your superstar, for 4 to 6 weeks, but they do have the benefit of the Four Nations tournament coming up, so there'll be 2 of those weeks he won't be missing any game action. So that's the plus side of it, and they want to get him ready for the stretch run because they're not going to go anywhere that they want to go without having a healthy Kirill Kaprizov.
It's been a little bit of a grind of late here for the Minnesota Wild. They had the best record in the NHL through 26 games. Last 24 games, only 4 teams have accumulated fewer points. Obviously, there's been some ups and downs there in terms of the availability for key players, Jared Spurgeon, Kirill Kaprizov, as you just outlined. But what's sort of been behind the recent issues aside from not having access to their superstar player?
Well, a couple of things. One thing is they've been such a big struggle at home, right? They're one of the best road team in the NHL, but they're 11, 12, and 1 on home ice, which is pretty rare for a team, especially a team playing in that building. So some of the recent losses have been home games. Home game loss on Saturday to Calgary, for example, which Coach John Hynes kind of called them out for kind of choosing to lose or not choosing their heart as their team mentality this year, doing the hard things to win games. So a couple different things related to that, but I think going this road trip will be really telling for them. Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and Boston, as well as they played on the road. These are some really good teams, so if they can come through this one over 500, it'll be a really big, huge benefit for the standings.
I always wonder what the perspective is when a team has a really great road record, like the top road record basically in the NHL. Like, what does it show for you? Is it maturity? Is it being able to prepare just as well as you are at home when you have the luxury of being in your own space as you were on the road? Like, why is it clicking so much? Is that the unity of the team?
Well, that's part of it. And they started this year, I think, a 7-game road trip in October, and they really did so well on that trip in some tough buildings in Tampa and Florida and everything else like that, and really kind of set the momentum for the season. They play more of the right mentality on the road. They play more of a simple mentality. They're more structured. They obviously play a little more physical. Like, I think they just knew they had to have more airtight game to win games on the road. They kind of took that. They haven't been able to kind of translate that on home ice for whatever reason. They still can't pinpoint it, but overall, I think they just play the collective mindset of the identity of this team that makes them able to have success. So that would be my read on it. And I think having the confidence to win road games in Washington and Carolina and Colorado and Dallas, those are some pretty big wins in some tough buildings.
So the start of the season balances out the last bit of the season, and the home record and the road record, I suppose, balances themselves out. And the Minnesota Wild are still in a really good position in the Central Division. But I wonder, are there some worries about what's ahead? I mean, there's some problematic markers, only a +3 goal differential, bottom 6 in possession in the NHL. Where do the Wild sort of belong in the Central Division scheme of things based on what you've seen and how you make sense of this group and what's ahead and what's maybe possible for the rest of the season?
Yeah, well, I think they are, where they probably should be is the third place or the wild card position. I think going into the year, people, including us at The Athletic, picked them to be not in the top 4 in the division. Maybe some people picked them as 7th in the division. So they definitely exceeded expectations from the outside point of view for the first part of the year. But you're right, there are some troublesome signs. There are the penalty kill, which is one of the worst in the league. There are some possession numbers. There are some play that's been trending as of late, and you do lose your superstar in Kaprizov. So it's one of those kind of gut check times for the team, especially before the Four Nations break, to stay above water and keep that top 3 position in the Central, so that way when Crow comes back, they can kind of finish strong. But I think right now where they are, either third or the wild card spot, is something where they probably, based upon their kind of up and down play, should be at this particular point. It's a matter of holding on to that spot because teams like Calgary and them are chasing, getting closer.
We're chatting with Joe Smith of The Athletic ahead of the Maple Leafs and Wild from Scotia Bank Arena on Wednesday night hockey. It feels like there's one thing that's certain with the Wild is that they're going to have good coaching. And Dean Evison was really good for them, and now John Hynes seems to be getting a lot out of this group. How specifically has Hynes positively impacted his Wild?
Well, he had his first full training camp with them this year, and it's probably one of the harder training camps some of the players said that they had in a long time. They wanted to focus on being able to kind of keep that kind of endurance and stamina the rest of the season. He's really good on structure. He's really good on having solutions, right? They have meetings in between losses, and he'll have solutions versus just kind of the rhetoric and talk. Does a lot of one-on-one with players and kind of connecting them that way. And also some players like Matt Boldy love him because they allow players to play their game and to use their creativity and not kind of box guys into certain places where some guys just go structure. You can't do anything beyond this limit of the scheme or the scope. And so I think there's a balance there with John Hynes. I think he's learned a couple different coaching jobs he's had before and been let go to now kind of evolve and get used to the times. But yeah, I mean, learning how to get through this stretch will definitely be a telling point in this part of his tenure too. See if they can finish one out and make the playoffs.
You mentioned the sort of a little bit of a road trip here, or continuing one tomorrow. I don't want to look ahead, but it's a pretty important one. Marc-Andre Fleury's possible last start ever in Montreal, unless there's a Stanley Cup final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Minnesota Wild. You never know. This season's been kind of weird. Just in terms of following the retirement tour of Marc-Andre Fleury and knowing what tomorrow means to him and to everybody that's helped him on his journey, like, what are your expectations for the motion, for the moment, for Marc-Andre Fleury?
I think it'll be hard for him to contain his emotions. It was last time when they played in Montreal last year, and they chanted his name as he got off the ice, and people thought that may be the last time he played there. But he'll have a busload of about 100 or so family and friends coming from his hometown, about an hour drive away from the Bell Center tomorrow to be in the stands. And he has said, and pretty confident this is his last start there. So I think overall the emotions of him growing up watching Patrick Roy and staying up late to celebrate the 93 Canadiens Stanley Cup team and everything else like that will all kind of come to him. And he's always felt honored to play on that same ice of a team that he idolized growing up, and tomorrow they will honor him in a special way.
You've been doing this for a while, Joe. You spent a lot of time in Tampa before switching to the Wild beat. Is there anyone who even can be put in the same category as Fleury in terms of athletes and players that you've covered? Like, he is completely different in many ways, and it's not to say there aren't other nice guys in hockey. There are plenty of good people in the sport, but Fleury truly is, at least in my experience, of a different breed.
I agree with you. I mean, I've been around some really well-liked players and stuff, and franchise legends like a Steven Stamkos in Tampa, for example, but it's hard to find a more universally beloved player around the league. You know, even in buildings that he didn't play in, like Nashville, they cheered for him when he got announced as starter the other day and stuff. Like, I think overall there's a lot of respect around the league from players, former teammates, opponents, and he's very deserving of getting quote unquote his flowers this year in his farewell tour. But I don't know if you guys remember any other players had the kind of a farewell tour like this, where it's so deliberate and celebrated in so many different cities. Most guys don't have that chance to do it, and so kind of fitting he gets a chance to be appreciated and celebrated by a lot of people around the league.
Certainly, other than Rasmus Anderson, who delivered a pretty good punch the other night. Last one for you, Joe. Looking ahead, I think Wild fans should be encouraged, right? There's money coming off the books that's dead money in Parise and Suter. The cap's going up. They got to pay Kaprizov eventually, but they've got an aggressive GM and finally some wherewithal to make some moves. Is there a lot of positivity about the direction of the Wild in the market? Because I don't know, maybe it's a little bit tamped down by the fact that this organization has been kind of looking for the breakthrough for a really long time.
I'll tell you what, for Minnesota fans, they have been patient. You know, it's been a long time since they've, getting out of the first round is a very difficult thing for them to do. So I think they've been really patient and loyal, and I think there is some positivity on the horizon here with the cap numbers coming off. There's some really good prospects coming through. Zeev Buium from Denver University, a world junior champion, could join the team as early as end of the season. Some of the top prospect pool, and they will have money to spend, and they will spend it. Other than signing Kirill Kaprizov, which they hope to do a year ahead of free agency this July. You can see him in the sweepstakes for like a Brock Besser or a Brock Nelson, or just try to find some help up there, in which they've been so hamstrung for so long and still managed to be competitive in a kind of 100-point caliber team.
Well, Joe, we appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the rest of the road trip, and best of luck this season.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Take care.
That's Joe Smith at The Athletic, covering the Wild there. And as we mentioned, it's going to be a pretty emotional game tomorrow night. Of course, it makes sense to not start Marc-Andre Fleury tonight when you're playing the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night. But I just saw a video from Scotiabank Arena where him and Matt Murray were chatting at center ice, two former teammates.
Yeah.
It's probably a nice moment for the two of them. They'll both be on the bench tonight.
Not the nice guy origin story, but I think where Marc-Andre Fleury, kind of received a lot of his respect in terms of how he handles situations and his, sportsmanship and his humble nature and all that stuff. Like, Matt Murray just came in and took the rug out from underneath him in some ways, taking over as the starter, winning multiple Stanley Cups, or being the guy for back-to-back Stanley Cups for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And yeah, Fleury played a role and almost had it himself in terms of role, but it was kind of unceremonious how that all happened, right? Like, it can't be done in a real positive way, but Marc-Andre Fleury dealt with it as best as you possibly could. And he already won his cup, so clearly, he already stamped himself as a legend of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he was still a Stanley Cup champion a couple more times over. But yeah, it's tough when a goalie comes in for that hot minute and takes away your job. And it ended up, sending him to Vegas, and he's been kind of kicking around different stops since. And it hasn't been like perfect in many ways, but I think he's handled himself in many ways perfectly. And that's kind of the story of Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, and tomorrow will be a pretty wonderful night for him, getting the start at the Bell Center against the Montreal Canadiens. But that's the second part of a back-to-back for them. So not ideally set up in the best position for a team success. But, when you're playing for someone of that caliber, they'll find their legs for sure. Let's talk about tonight's game. And we mentioned it before we brought in Joe, that there's no Kirill Kaprizov. He was placed on IR a little while ago to undergo some surgery for a lower body injury. And without Kaprizov in the lineup, they are 7-5-1, the Wild. But with him in the lineup this season, they're 22-12-3 with him. Obviously, he's one of the best young stars in the game. He's leading the Wild in goals, assists, points, plus minus, despite already missing 13 games. So that shows how important he is. He was in the Hart Trophy lead, or like a 1-2 punch in a sense, before he got injured. So without him in there tonight or over the stretch, like, they're reeling a little bit. They got to find some secondary scoring and somebody that has kind of like that pulse of their team.
Yeah, they got to get him healthy because they're a bit toothless offensively without Kirill Kaprizov, without the impact that he can bring. He's kind of the guy that, raises the tide that raises all boats for the Minnesota Wild. And I do think, I agree with Joe, they're overshooting expectations just a little bit, but if you don't have Kaprizov, you're far less of a team. And you mentioned it. He was the Hart Trophy favorite through 26 games. Wild had the best record in the NHL. If that continued, he was probably going to win that award because he was in such great form. But I don't know when it all started. I don't know if there was some lingering effects, but things with him obviously have been uneven, and it's been uneven for the Wild over the last 24 games. Only 4 teams accumulated fewer points. Kaprizov has missed half of those 24 games, and they've got the second worst goal differential over that span. So it's been a tale of 2 seasons, almost in so many ways, right? It's the with and without Kaprizov. It's the first month or the first half versus the latest half of the season. It's home versus away. The Wild are a bit of an enigma, a bit of a difficult team, to figure out. But they are on the road where they've been really good tonight. And despite, the loss of Kaprizov, they've played some good hockey at times without Kaprizov, being 7-5-1 without him. So I wouldn't cross the Wild out and say that there's a massive advantage on the Maple Leaf side tonight. But things are a little bit precarious right now with Minnesota without Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, if you look at that 2015 draft, the first overall pick, Connor McDavid, his first in points per game. Second in points per game from the 2025 NHL draft is Kirill Kaprizov, who was 135th selection in the draft at 1.21 points per game. And right behind him is Mitch Marner with 1.13, and he was the 4th overall pick. So, 2 of them tonight on the ice, Marner and, not Kaprizov, but 2 of them in these respective teams, the pedigree for being a 1st overall pick, a 5th overall pick is something, but 135th to kind of come out to be Kirill Kaprizov at this point, it's pretty unbelievable. I think he's just getting better every year, too.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a thing. They do need more to bring around him, though. And I do think there's an opportunity to do so. I think they're going to be major players this offseason. I think they're going to be major players.
They're going to have so much money
for off seasons to come. They got money. They've got guys who are tied up on really good deals. They've drafted so well. They got 2 players in Matt Boldy and Brock Faber who are future stars, who are going to wear the USA jersey for a very, very long time. They're stars now, but the future stars for their country, and we're going to see that at the Four Nations face-off. But they are building, and they do have some key building blocks, but it's just they're asking a little bit too much from guys like Matt Zuccarello to play top-line minutes. Marco Rossi's been obviously a standout this year, but maybe asking him to play a little bit higher than he should be at this point in his career. Once this team can be free of the shackles of Parise and Suter and the money attached to that buyout, I think it's going to be a destination because people are going to want to play there. And I think Minnesota's in line for not a turnaround, but some really, really good days, probably their best days ahead because, Joe's right. That fan base is waiting for the breakthrough for a long time, and I think they're going to get in the coming years. Yeah,
maybe time to buy stock in them as they approach the offseason and what might be a good run here. Okay, talk about the Maple Leafs a little bit with Gord Stellick. They're getting healthy quickly. Let's knock on wood, actually, while I do that, because you never know. Pacioretty is going to make his return to lineup tonight. Matthew Knies with skating is going to be possibly back in the lineup as early as Saturday night, which is against the Oilers, which will be great. We'll have that on Sports at 590 The Fan as well. Tavares was seen skating with the team in a normal blue jersey, and Stolars is supposedly in line to get a start before the Four Nations face-off, which is 2 weeks away. So in next week or so, we should see him taking regular practice. So all of that to be said, we got a little bit of line adjustments, but nothing too drastic. Do you want to go through the Leafs lines?
Sure, let's do it. The Maple Leafs will give us a different look with Max Pacioretty returning and some line juggling, as you mentioned, with some key players out, despite the belief and the assertion that they're getting healthy here ahead of the Four Nations face-off. It will be Bobby McMahon playing on the top line with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, despite a lot of conversation around Max Domi. Domi will play with Pontus Holmberg and William Nylander. On the second line with Pacioretty, Fraser Minton, and Nick Robertson. On the third line, it'll be Lorentz, Kampf, and Reeves. On the fourth line, on the blue line, Riley and McCabe, Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Chris Tanev, and Simone Benoit and Philippe Myers will round things out with Joseph Wall in net tonight.
I like Bobby McMahon on the top line. Like, he just has this, he has what I hoped that we saw with Steven Lorentz for that one game sample size. Like, Bobby McMahon is able to provide some scoring options. He's got a little bit of physicality. He just gives it. Like,
he's Nyes light.
He's Nyes light. That's a great way to put it. And without Nyes light will do for now. But definitely, I think Max Domi, the discussion we had with Gord Stellick, it was just like confirming some of my eye test versus analytics on Max Domi. He hasn't scored since the 20th of December, and we both looked through it. It was like he scored 3 games in a row, and it was like, okay. And then he hasn't got a goal since, and it's almost like that push and pull as a coach. Do you want to give him the opportunity to get up on the top line and be able to start producing, or are you like, man, you just don't have it? Like, you got to show me before it's kind of like, how do you know what's best for him? Seems like he's working hard. He's kind of snake bit, but he's also like 3 goals this season is not what we thought from Max Domi.
No, and like William Nylander's talented enough to get his. I mean, he's clearly getting all the breakaways in the world, at least lately. And I think part of that is, okay, I'm going to have to be opportunistic because, well, my centerman is Pontus Holmberg. And I think the same applies to Max Domi here. It's like, how much are we should we realistically expect when you're not playing on a real top 6 unit? Like, as much as Max Domi may not be a real top 6 player, or at least on a really good team, a real top 6 player and better for a third line role, despite a lot of belief that, hey, maybe he should play on the top line tonight. Like, there's still some fluctuation to that. There's still some, it's a bit like debatable whether or not he is that guy or whether or not he's got some permanence in that role. But if you're playing with Pontus Holmberg, like, it's not going to be easy to generate offense. Him and Domi are not 2 guys who can create their own shot, to use a basketball parlance, like William Nylander can. So it's going to have to come a little bit more organically. And these are 2 guys who are not organically fit to produce offense routinely, I think. So, like, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. It could be something I wouldn't expect it to be relied upon, but you got to find offense from some sources. And right now, Bobby McMahon has deserved this opportunity and has played really well and has actually come through in spots of late. So I can't really deny that. It's just like, where does Domi belong? What role is he going to serve? When everyone's healthy, where can you actually realistically see him playing an important role? Maybe he's more of a utility piece on the top line, where McMahon plays a role on a second or third line, driving offense for Tavares or Nylander. I still think, despite a lot of repetitions and a lot of opportunity here for a lot of guys, we're still trying to search for the right role for a lot of players on this Maple Leafs team.
Yeah, last 2 games, the Leafs only produced a goal in each of the games, which is a bit uncharacteristic. Before that, they had a 5-3 win, a 7-3 win, a 4-3 win. So they could score in bunches, but 2 games in a row, that pretty brutal game against the Blue Jackets where they lost 5-1. We were doing that game. It was tough. And then Saturday night, they lose the Battle of Ontario 2-1 to the Sens, just like kind of pushing to get some offense going. I think obviously having Matthew Knies in the lineup, and once you can get John Tavares healthy, that will feel more natural. But tonight, it's Philip Gustafsson in net. Not that, that should make a big difference. You have a lot of talent, but he's had a little bit of a rough stretch. He's allowed 4 or more goals in 5 of his last 6 appearances. So you can get passive, you can get some goals, and maybe tonight's a good opportunity to get that crowd loud. Like, I'm curious tonight to see if there's like more ushers down there, like yelling at people to get up.
Do you think the ushers are going to be trying to get
no,
the
like
noise going?
and the blue crew.
Oh, the blue crew. Yeah, the blue
That's
crew
what I
might be
meant.
doing that. Ushers, maybe
Not the ushers. I meant the blue crew, the folks that are.
Yeah,
Blue crew,
well, I guess we'll find out. I just don't feel like that's in the Maple Leafs playbook.
No.
If there's any
Too much dialogue about it, though.
yeah, there is. There has been bad memories associated with the Wild this year. This is the second of two meetings. The teams did meet back on November 3rd. The Leafs were second half of back-to-back, soundly outplayed in that game, did manage to get a point in a 2-1 overtime loss, but that was the last game before Matthews almost...
Right. He was laboring.
he was laboring in that
Definitely.
game, disappeared for basically the entire month of November after that game. So that was kind of the start of some issues, or at least some bad times for the Maple Leafs, albeit it didn't last too long, but Joel Eriksson-Ek did an unbelievable
That's
job
right.
against Austin Matthews that night. I don't think that line, the top line for the Maple Leafs, produced a single shot. So we'll see with
I
some
think that
better
game
matchups.
lulled us to sleep a little bit.
That was the most second half of back-to-back game the Leafs had all year.
Yes.
Like they really felt like they were legs in the mud. But that's kind of what Minnesota can do to you.
Guess whose birthday it is today? Joel Eriksson-Ek.
Ooh.
He might either just be celebrating too early or he's going to have lots to celebrate.
Sounds like a player to watch.
It might be. So we will take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side to get you set for puck drop. We got Leafs and Wilds. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall.
What's up, insiders? Cheers! Here we go. Leafs got to bounce back against the Wild tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Miss V. Veronica, so good to see you as well. Brim, how you doing, Brim? Toronto Maple Leafs, loyal, true Canadian heart. Hey, Mike. Hey, Toronto Maple Leafs, loyal, true Canadian heart. Thank you for hanging out with us, everybody. Lucius, Stefan, really appreciate it. Lisa jumped in the chat as well. John K. Let's have some fun tonight. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up button, guys. Hit the like button. Been doing a lot of work behind the scenes here, getting ready with this new computer, changing how we do things here at the channel to make things even better for the future in this push for 100,000 subscribers. It's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of fun at the Four Nations Face-Off as well as March Madness. Go Leafs, go! Big game tonight. We got to get back on track. We'll see you back in the chat. Cheers, everybody.
Or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
Ah, at last, the Subaru winter is here. It's the perfect weather for the beach. Feel the sun's rays on the small amount of skin peeking out of your ski mask. Put on your beach puffer and hear the sound of the waves crashing over the chatter of your teeth. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
Bring home more from your in-car stations with the SiriusXM app. More than 200 streaming-only channels for every at-home activity. Music for kids, pets, even plants. Sounds for better sleep, breaking a sweat, and everything in between. Just search At Home to find it all with the SiriusXM app. At home on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gore, and they must say, okay, if we make a coaching change here, chances are that at least for 10 games, we're more than competitive, and we're probably going to win much more than we lose.
Coaches are probably yelling an expletive, right? About, whatever, how that particular trend is going. So you're right. So far, it's like perfect.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stiller. Weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Playing in the Four Nations face-off for Team USA, Connor Hellebuck.
How do you feel about getting a chance to play for USA?
The type of hockey it's going to be fun. There's going to be some high-pressure games. You're going to be putting your country's jersey on. You're representing your country. I think we're going to have a great fan base around us. And I'm really looking forward to what it brings.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app.
The UEFA Champions League is back on Sirius XM FC, and this year it's bigger than ever.
Absolutely ridiculous from Real Madrid. Merseyside magic from Mo Salah.
Now with more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy.
What a start for Inter! Haaland scores the hat-trick!
From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
From in the crease to in the locker room.
Four Nations Team Canada face-off associate GM Jim Nill. You as a manager view goaltending going into the tournament in February.
We're talking about two of the guys that won Stanley Cups and play in those type of pressure games. That's a pretty good resume to have. So we're pretty confident with it and pretty confident with the team that we're going to have playing in front of them.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Ray Hudson here with an important announcement. You can listen to your favourite Sirius XM FC shows on the all-new Sirius XM app, now available for all subscribers.
This is Molson Leafs Hockey. On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network. There's a Molson with your name on it.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Ailish Warfar and Justin Cuthbert wrapping up our pregame show here as the Leafs host the Wild at Scotiabank Arena. Leafs atop the Atlantic, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. They lost the last 2 games. The Wild sitting third in the Central Division. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but they won their last game. They've had a little bit of a slump after Kirill Kaprizov's injury, and we won't see him for the next few weeks, but they still got something to play for tonight and on this road trip.
Yeah, it feels like the Wild's recent swoon has been more costly than the Maple Leafs. I don't know if it's a swoon, but they haven't been playing terrific lately. And as you mentioned, 5-5 in their last 10, but remain atop the Atlantic. The Wild have dropped to third in the Central, despite at one point not too long ago, last month even, being the number 1 team in the entire NHL with an 18-4-4 record. So times have changed a little bit for the Wild, who are definitely feeling the loss of Kirill Kaprizov without Jared Spurgeon for 10 games over the last little bit. So missing 2 really key players, but the Maple Leafs have dealt with some injuries this year and managed to pick up points. So the Wild will be fired up to play tonight. Everyone's fired up to play when they come through Scotiabank Arena, and one of the few teams we'll actually see play at Scotiabank Arena till about mid-March.
You mentioned it in the previous part of our show, but this is the last Maple Leafs home game for 24 days. And between this game and March 13th, there's only 2 home games. It's January 29th. I can't believe.
March 13th.
Did I say
said March 3rd.
13th.
Maybe I heard wrong.
13th, 1-3. It's a very long ways away to only play 2 home games. So hopefully get your money's worth. If you're at the arena, you're waiting to get there because this is one of few as the Maple Leafs are on a long road trip. They're going to go to the West Coast next week. Week will be fun. And then there's the Four Nations face-off, which will take about 2 weeks of time. And I wonder how many guys are just headed down south to warm climates, can spend some time with the family. I know we heard Mackenzie Weegar jokingly say that he would cancel his flight to, I think he was going to Mexico, if he got invited to Canada's roster. But there'll be a couple Leafs that will be playing games during those 2 weeks. But the Leafs will have a nice little rest coming up.
Yeah, and maybe one more player, Chris Tanev, with Alex Pietrangelo not going to the Four Nations face-off. We'll see if another Leaf gets the call. But yeah, I think the Leafs are uniquely set up for this rest to benefit them in a lot of ways because, yeah, they're not a complete team right now. Anthony Stolar's still making his way back. John Tavares still making his way back. There are guys who are on the mend, who are getting healthy, who are getting to the point where they're going to be wanting to play some hockey in around mid-February when the Four Nations face-off takes 2 weeks out of the schedule. So I do think when everyone gets back, whether it's from time on the trainer's table or beaches in Mexico, that the Maple Leafs, late February, when the NHL gets going again, are going to be remarkably healthy. Again, we should probably find wood to knock on because you can never really say that, but things are trending in a real positive direction from a health standpoint for the Maple Leafs. And yeah, if you can kind of reset and kind of clear the mind a little bit, get some R&R before the stretch run, I think the Leafs could be in a good position to take advantage of how the schedule goes.
Yeah, we mentioned it before the break there. Pacioretty making his return to lineup tonight. Matthew Nyes should be ready for Saturday, which is the big game against the Edmonton Oilers. We saw John Tavares practicing in a regular jersey with the team this week. And then Anthony Stolarz should be around the corner as well. They said he'd like to hope to get a start before the Four Nations, which is 2 weeks away. Okay, Justin, with all that said, let's get your key to victory. The key to victory is brought to you by your Ontario Honda dealers. Up your game. Lease the CRV from 2.99% up to 36 months. Visit HondaOntario.com.
So Austin Matthews essentially was a zero offensively in the first of two meetings between these two teams at the beginning of November. Part of that reason might have been the fact that he was hurting because he missed the next entire month. But part of the reason was he was playing against Joel Eriksson Ek, who could win a lot of Selke awards in his NHL career. Freeing him up from that future Selke winner is key tonight, I think, for the Maple Leafs and Craig Berube. Matthews against some of the lesser centers on this Wild team could really benefit the Maple Leafs from an offensive perspective tonight. So I expect Matthews to have a big night if he can free himself from that tough matchup.
Okay, I'm ready for my player to watch.
Okay, it's presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. Visit ConnexOntario.ca. Who's your player to watch?
Okay, it's going to be Austin Matthews for a few reasons.
Synergy here.
It's Austin Matthews. So, I mean, that's in its own one part of it. The U.S. General Manager Bill Guerin was in town. He was on he was on Kipper and Bourne a little earlier, but there's a lot to talk about. Is Austin Matthews healthy enough for the Four Nations face-off? I think he will be trying to prove that tonight, not that he needs to. He's also 1 goal away from tying Darryl Sittler for second on the Leafs all-time goals list. So 2 goals tonight would put him in sole possession of second on all of the Maple Leafs history of goal scorers, which is unbelievable. So I have him at -110 for a goal. But for a multi-goal, which I think, could be a perfect poetic night, 5-1 plus 500. I also looked, he's got 11 goals in 13 games versus Minnesota, so has done pretty well against the Wild. And tonight they're facing Philip Gustafsson, who's struggled a little bit lately, allowing 4 more goals in 5 of his last 6 appearances. Also, bonus, here's my close your eyes and picture this. Marner needs 2 assists for 500 on his career. Could Marner's 2 assists go to Matthews' 2 goals and they both hit milestones the same night when they don't play at Scotiabank Arena for months?
It seems reasonable.
I think so.
I wish you could parlay that specifically.
And it's also one last one because I'm always generous to our loyal listeners. It's Joel Eriksson Ek's birthday tonight. And for him to score a goal, he is plus 230. So, birthday boy.
There you go. We gave you the lines on the other side of the break. So just a couple lineup notes. Max Pacioretty was activated. Will play on a third line after missing 3 games. And then Matthew Nyes was put on IR to make space for Pacioretty. Retroactive to last Wednesday, though. So he's expected back Saturday. So the Maple Leafs, getting a little healthier. Could be even healthier Saturday night.
Okay, there are definitely some revenge angles like Zach Bogosian and Ryan Reeves, who used to play for their former teams. Did I miss anyone else? Oh, I was going to say Dewar, but Dewar's not in the lineup tonight. That would have been a good
Connor
one.
Dewar would have been a good one.
Foligno, family connection, the Leafs.
Yeah, there's something there.
Okay. There's my father. There you go. All right, the first period puck drops just on the other side of the break with Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It's soccer's most thrilling league.
Only the Premier League can make you feel like this.
And now every match is on the SiriusXM app.
Can you believe it?
From the title race.
This is remarkable. Keeps this title charge on track, surely.
To the relegation fight.
The impossible may still be possible.
Hear every English Premier League match on the SiriusXM app and talk about all the EPL drama on SiriusXM FC 157 and the SiriusXM app. NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gore, and they must say, okay, if we make a coaching change here, chances are that at least for 10 games, we're more than competitive, and we're probably going to win much more than we lose.
Coaches are probably yelling an expletive, right? About, whatever, how that particular trend is going. So you're right. So far, it's like perfect.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Playing in the Four Nations face-off for Team USA, Connor Hellebuck.
How do you feel about getting a chance to play for USA?
The type of hockey it's going to be fun. There's going to be some high-pressure games. You're going to be putting your country's jersey on. You're representing your country. I think we're going to have a great fan base around us, and I'm really looking forward to what it brings.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and on your schedule with the Sirius XM app.
The UEFA Champions League is back on Sirius XM FC, and this year it's big.
What's up, insiders? Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. The Maple Leafs taking on the Minnesota Wild. It's time for our buds to bounce back after a couple bad performances. But it's all right. We've got it coming tonight. So great to see you all. Cheers to everybody here in the chat tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us. Doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get things going for a big month of February and a big month of March to get ready for the NHL playoffs. That's right. It's going to be huge. Every single game of the NHL playoffs is going to be live right here on TSI, and I can't wait to do it with all of you here in the chat cheering on our buds. Now let's get to the game tonight. We got to beat the Wild. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys back in the chat.
The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Avalanche General Manager Chris McFarland. What went in to maybe change that duo in goal?
With the work of our scout, Wedgwood's experience, he was a veteran guy, he's been through the grind. We were very bullish on McKenzie, and when the opportunity came to add him, we just felt it was the right move for us, long term.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe, you decided to jump right back into it.
New Jersey Devils reached out really within an hour or so of the news coming out of me being let go. And the more I got to know Tom and his vision for the team and seeing the situation, it was a tremendous opportunity that I couldn't let pass by.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Radio Network.
Last home game before the break, and the Toronto Maple Leafs entertaining the Minnesota Wild tonight. The Constables of the Corded Cabins tonight. Joseph Wall, 17-9-0 this season, 2.67 and a .907 save percentage. He is 1-0 against the Wild during his career. And Philip Gustafsson, 19-10-3 for the Wild, 2.61 and a .912 save percentage. He's 2-1-1 against the Maple Leafs, and it's brought to you by Molson. Molson, everyone in. The Leafs will defend the goal to our right. And the Wild to our left. Leafs in their home blue. The Wild in their green, white, and red. And we're underway as the puck is dropped. And Faber gets it up on the wing and is deflected by Zuccarello to center. And now back for the Leafs. Played in over the line, but quickly played right back out again now by Minnesota as they dump it into the right wing corner. Matt Boldy after the puck. A centering pass has gone by everyone. And on the fresh ice, it slid all the way back into Minnesota territory. Wild get it ahead for Eriksson Ek. Up on the right side it comes now for Boldy. He gets in on the right wing into the slot area. Good back checking there by Marner. He'll get it to McMahon, who regroups the puck in the Toronto zone. Leafs start out with it. Morgan Riley waiting for teammates to change. Sends a long shoot in well wide of the goal. Chopped along the boards by Pontus Holmberg, but now the Wild will get it out. And they'll play it to the line and in. Marco Rossi into the slot area, taken away from him by the Maple Leafs' Max Domi, and he slips it high into the zone. A hit there. Both players to the ice, but no penalty call. Rink-wide pass by Jared Spurgeon is broken up there by the Leafs at the defense. Set back into neutral ice. First 3 shifts into the game. Everybody's involved.
Not me.
You are now.
Thanks.
Tracks on over the line now. Don't you have something else to do tonight?
You'd think.
Break now for the Wild. Trenton in on goal, and a good play made there by Myers to get back and take it away from him. Bogosian. An errant pass. Icing waved off, though, as the Wild got back there first, but the Leafs take the puck away, and here's Tanev getting it ahead at center. Brought in on the right side by Robertson, and a shot is blockered away there by Gustafsson. Puck along the boards and back of the net. Robertson trying to get it freed up and does. Pacioretty into the far corner. Trying to get away from the check there. Had it knocked away then by Frederick Gaudreau. It comes around back of the net. The scramble is on again. Played to the line but not out. Tanev kept it in momentarily. And the Wild will get it to center and then lock it down into the Leaf zone. Both teams changing, and we got a scuffle going on over by the Leaf door to get off. Looks like Matt Boldy was trying to engineer a trade there. Went to the wrong door or something. Banked out at center for the Wild. Up on the wing for Devon Shore. Carried into the left wing corner and stops it up. Back to the point, and the shot is drilled into the chest of Joseph Wall, and he's going to hold on.
I would say, and
well, you're involved now.
Yeah,
yes.
and tell me if you agree with this. Joseph Wall, the last 3 games, looks like the guy we saw.
Yes.
2 games in the playoffs, and it started the Montreal game. Even though he gave up 3 in the first period, Leafs should have been down 5 or 6 easily. Shut the door the rest of the way. I thought he was outstanding against Tampa, and then even the game in Ottawa. Look what beats him. Basically a 4-on-2, one-timer off the post, and a fluke goal and a 2-1 loss. But he's been much more active, right?
Oh, absolutely. And engaged. Leafs get it in over the line, but Camp couldn't come up with it. Wild send it along the boards on the near side. Reeves is in there. The whole third or fourth line is you throw a blanket over them there. Dug out by Chisholm. Declan Chisholm got it up on the boards, but Reeves was able to steal it back. Now Lorenz centering pass. Hit the side of the goal. I think he was trying for a Bedard shot there, but didn't quite have the accuracy. That was amazing, wasn't it? Just to think about trying to do that. And then to have done it before.
Wrist shot from about below the circle near the corner.
Yep. And you had about a 4-by-4-inch area, and he hit it. Pass off his stick goes down into the Wild zone. Jake Middleton gets it up on the wing, and it's pushed out at center ice. Pass intercepted by Toronto, brought back by Matthews. In over the line, left wing side, trying to saucer it in front of the net, but it was knocked away. And it'll come back out at center ice. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson gets it over on the right side, and Tanev will launch it high down into the Minnesota zone. Now a loose puck. Marner can't come up with it. Played to a open wing. Benoit able to secure it for Toronto and sends it back to his defense partner Myers. Myers starting out. Got it ahead to Nylander. Nice pass on the left wing side for Pontus Holmberg. Shot, though, was blocked. Round back of the net. Nylander trying to block it, but unable to do so. Then it comes right out in front of the net. Myers was just a little slow reacting to it, or he might have been in all alone.
And he was just starting to peel back out of the zone before the Wild coughed it up in front of their own net.
Shots are 2-1 in favor of Toronto. And we're at the 5-minute mark of the first period without a goal.
Hard to believe. Leafs lost earlier in this season in Minnesota 2-1 in overtime. The Leafs, though, overall in the last 9 against Minnesota, 7-0-2.
Well, they have liked playing in the Western Conference, too. Shot down into the Wild zone. And trying to move out with it. Now they're going to regroup it back in their own zone. Pass ahead on the right side for Gaudreau. Got in over the line, stolen off the stick there by Morgan Riley. And Riley starts up ice with a long lead pass to Robertson. Robertson flips it on the left wing, and Minton. Someone was offside.
Yeah, Pat Pacioretty was trying to straddle the line and ended up on one leg and almost toppled over. Trying to give the Leafs an opportunity. Shots on goal are just 2-1 for Toronto. You know, Billy Guerin has done a marvelous job as general manager of the Minnesota Wild as well. And some relief that he is going to get is at the end of this year. Yep, $14.74 million comes off the cap between Parise and Suter, who were bought out a couple of years ago.
Chuck Fletcher signed those deals. I think he did, didn't he? Wasn't that in his tenure?
Might have been Chuck. I don't know whose idea it was to terminate them, because they ended up signing and staying in the league.
Yep. Played along the boards. Matthews gets it to Marner. Marner at the blue line sends it to the net. Stop, rebound, and it's knocked away by Gustafsson. Played off the boards. Marner blocked it initially. It comes out into neutral ice. OEL plays it back to Tanev, and Tanev gets it up on the right wing side, and Marner flips it into the corner for Matthews. Matthews and Jake Middleton battle for the puck. It goes high in the air. No one can touch it because it was a touch with a high stick, and the Wild finally do, and they're going to get it out into neutral ice. Really not a scoring chance has developed in this game. We're 6.5 minutes into it. Nylander circles back at his own blue line. Comes through neutral ice and backhands in on the left wing boards and into the corner. Down the wall, Nylander trying to get to it. Domi tries to help out. Domi back behind the net. Pontus Holmberg was pinned by John Merrill, and the Wild are going to get it out into neutral ice. Brought in on the right wing side by Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov back at the net. Devin Shore couldn't come up with it. A centering pass. They score! Merritt Kuznetsov from in front of the net on a turnover back of the goal. And the Wild have drawn first blood.
Leafs lose a one-on-one battle in behind their own net. Poor coverage out front. And it's one of those two that Leafs have full control of the puck. And they end up turning it over, and it's thrown right out in front. And Joseph Woll really doesn't have much of an opportunity. I think it was Jacob Lauko that forced the turnover in behind, taking Morgan Riley to the boards and then just firing it out to the slot in the one-timer. Gets right through the pads of Joseph Woll.
That adds to another very discerning and interesting statistic, as Morgan Riley is now minus 17 on the season. He has really struggled, and whoever has been teamed with him has not been able to correct it. But it stands out like a sore thumb. No one else is more than 5 or minus 5, and a lot of people are in the plus department, especially on the defense. Played out and into the center ice area and down into Minnesota territory. I don't know if there's another defenseman who's a minus. I don't believe there is. No, Philip Myers. There, the Wild in with a rolling puck in front, knocked away, and the Leafs will start out now with Robertson trying to get it under control. Place it off the glass down into Minnesota territory. Leafs get a turnover. Robertson with a backhand. Oh, he made a nice little move there, but he slid the backhand just wide of the post. Now a centering pass. Big save with the right pad by Gustafsson.
Well, he had some zip on that backhand too.
Did he ever? Best scoring chance the Leafs have engineered thus far. Puck comes back to the point. Long shot wide of the goal to Pacioretty on the right wing. Pacioretty trying to shield it. Got it ahead for Matthews, but it was in behind him and slides down into Minnesota territory. Jake Middleton getting it back now for Zach Bogosian. And the former Leaf gets it up on the left wing side and out at center ice and down into Toronto territory. Wall has to wait for it to get in the non-trapezoidal area. Puck poked out in front. Morgan Riley will get it ahead at center for Matthews. Matthews holds, makes a move to get it to McMahon on the left wing. Bobby McMahon down in for the shot from an angle, and it's off his skate and up into the screen and out of play. 1-0 Minnesota. 10:39 to go, first period. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
You will win with money. You will become wealthy if you will do these 5 things over and over again.
Dave Ramsey, America's trusted voice on money, is on SiriusXM Triumph.
Get out of debt. When you don't have any payments, you know what you've got? Money.
Call in for advice that's helped millions crush debt, build wealth, and achieve peace of mind.
Financial freedom is closer than you might think.
The Dave Ramsey Show. Weekdays starting at 6 a.m. East on SiriusXM Triumph 111.
NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gord, and they must say, okay.
What's up, hockey fans? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the Maple Leafs game. Now's the time in the show to find out where Leafs Nation is gathering from here on TSI, listening to the Leafs game, watching on TV, watching wherever you are, watching on YouTube, chatting it up, cheering our boys on. Let's go, Maple Leafs. Let's get the win tonight. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting us know where you're watching from, whether it's the United States, Canada, or all over the world. It's so much fun hanging out with you guys every single Maple Leafs game. Now let's get back to the hockey. Go Leafs, go. We'll see you back in the chat.
Haaland scores the hat trick! From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Radio Network.
Joe Bowen along with Jim Ralph. Armin Zagarian taking the night off. Andrew's here. Andrew Holland's here.
Maybe there's a football
Austin
game.
Mackey. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. You know, it might be the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then it's allowed then. No problem. No issue. Oh, here, I got nothing. I got nothing. Actually not feeling well. So we hope that he's feeling better soon.
Yes.
First period brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly. Visit ConnexOntario.ca. Draw one by the Leafs. Oliver Ekman-Larsson to Marner at the blue line, down into the corner for Matthews. A stuff shot. That was stopped. The rebound comes in front and then is chipped over top of the net by Marner. Marner trying to tip it back to the blue line and has deflection in front of the net off of McMahon's stick went astray, and it's down into the Toronto zone, and a sharp angle shot that had to be cautiously looked at there by Joseph Wall was stopped. Leafs bring it back in. Marner back into the slot area. The pass off a skate went in behind McMahon, who was driving the net. Back come the Wild in on the wing with a shot. Blockered away nicely there by Wall. That was a lot more difficult save than it looked, wasn't it? Back at the point, Faber gets it into the slot area. Working Zuccarello with a shot. That's blocked. It goes back to the net. Boldy trying to come out with it. Gets it back to the blue line. Zuccarello on the near side. Holds, sends it in front of the net. It bounced a couple of times. Marner is able to finally get it to safety back of the net. Playing it along the boards for Chris Tanev. And now gets a pass up on the left wing. And it'll be Oliver Ekman-Larsson sending it back to Marner, who's waiting for teammates to change. Morgan Riley starts up on the left wing. Plays it in. Unable to knock it down with Spurgeon. Played around the boards to the far side for Nylander. Chipped back into the corner for Domi. Back to the point it'll come. Jake McCabe nicely gathers. Gets it to Riley. A shot doesn't make it through. And Pontus Holmberg turned the opposite way where the puck was. Wild get it out and down into Toronto territory. Wall out of the goal. Great fake because he missed it.
Mulligan?
A mulligan, yeah. That's just probably as good a description of it. Pontus Holmberg finally gets it out for Nylander. Up ahead for Domi. Odd man rush developing. Riley going to the front of the net as it comes to Willie. And he fanned on the one-timer. Nylander back at the point. Off on the wing for Benoit. Simon Benoit to the left wing side for Riley. Riley sending it around back of the net. Can't come up with a player. It goes into the corner for Nylander. Back of the net for Domi. Bank pass to the blue line. Meyer for Domi again, and a shot coming off a stick and up into the screen.
Seems like the Leafs have had more offensive zone time, doesn't it? Longer stretches, but really nothing clean cuts on the way to the goaltender.
5 shots apiece, but a 1-0 Minnesota lead. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The Subaru winter has arrived. The crisp air and negative temperatures mean one thing: camping. Emerge from your icy tent and bask in 4 to 6 hours of sunlight. Enjoy the unmistakable smell of campfire through the glacial wind pummeling your face. Relax by the water, taking in the soothing sounds of thick ice cracking and popping. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
Over to our sideline reporter now with Breaking Mode the app and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
With the confidence and freedom of all-wheel drive, a turbocharged engine, and tons of cargo space, the 2025 Honda CR-V was made for winter adventures. But with heated front seats, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a cozy interior, you may want to stay in its comforts a little bit longer. Lease the CR-V LX all-wheel drive for $105 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,500 down. OAC conditions apply. Includes $1,500 lease bonus. See HondaOntario.com.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey.
The backhand scores! Steven Lorentz!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Ahead of the elections, I'm getting on my political stump. I want to wish a very happy birthday to Paul Henderson, 82 years young yesterday. It is the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the National Hockey League Hall of Fame. It's the Hockey Hall of Fame. And why Paul Henderson is not in there is beyond me. We have a women's division in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We have Europeans in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yep. It is the Hockey Hall of Fame. And Paul Henderson should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Am I okay now?
That's down the street, right?
Yeah, it's just around. Shot from the blue. Never mind. You know, I can't. You're never going to be vice president this way. Wait a minute. We don't even have a president. Play it off the boards up on the near side.
Got a lot of vices, though.
Yes, we do. Leafs get it in off the line. A shot. Oh, good blocker save made by Gustafsson. Cleared out and a foot race down into the Leaf zone. Benoit beats his man to the puck. Devin Shore takes it into the corner.
That is the thing about Hall of Fames, though, as the puck rolls into the Minnesota zone. There's always arguments and discussions in every sport and every time. I think, in keeping with what you're saying, a lot of those Russian players in the 72 series that won world championships and Olympic gold medals, only 3 of them are in.
Yep. But they didn't score in the National Hockey League. Brought in now, and a shot by Nylander is stopped there by Gustafsson.
No, but like you said, internationally, they won gold medals.
Sure they did.
Championships.
Sure they did. And this was a one-time only thing, but it was the most amazing thing in the history of the sport as far as a Canadian is concerned. Played down into the Toronto zone. I'm off my soapbox, but I will never believe that shouldn't be corrected. Oliver Ekman-Larsson going back into his own zone. Laid up at center for Matthews. Flips into the right wing corner for Bobby McMahon. McMahon gets in there and gets the puck on his stick. Got it freed up momentarily for Matthews, who was pinned. McMahon is able to get it back to the point, though. Now to Marner, who works back into the blue line. Sifted it off for McMahon. A wrist shot didn't make it through. And they'll be pushed out at center ice and down into the Toronto zone as McMahon and Marner collided and both went sprawling on the center ice area. Brought back in by Eriksson Ek. on the left wing side with a shot, and that went off the shoulder of Joseph Wall and went wide. Now it bounces out in front of the net, and Zuccarello couldn't get a shot away there. Round back of the net. Puck along the near boards, back to the point. It comes to Bogosian. He can't get it towards the net. The Leafs intercept. And Matthews has it under control in the Toronto zone with 5:34 to go in the period. Leafs trailing 1-0. Flipped into the far corner. Minnesota Ant up on the wing. It's played. Chipped out there by Marco Rossi, and the Wild can't get into the Toronto zone cleanly. Really, the Leafs have done an excellent job at their own blue line of preventing any kind of a rush and any kind of long zone time, and the goal was a turnover and a quick retort, and a penalty now coming to Toronto.
David Camp is going to go for a trip.
Goaltender to the bench, extra attacker on the ice for Minnesota. Boldy going back in his own zone. Flips it to Bogosian. Bogosian gives it back to him. They hit the congested blue line area. Turn back. Boldy goes back into his own zone. And a pass goes off the Leafs skate, and it'll be chipped into the Toronto zone, and here's the whistle. So the Leafs will go to the penalty kill for the first time in the game. It's brought to you by your Ontario Honda dealers. Up your game. Lease the CRV from 2.99% up to 36 months. Visit HondaOntario.com. Leafs trail 1-0. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
I'm Katie Nolan, and I have a new podcast called Casuals. It's a podcast for people who like sports a normal amount. Casuals is a twice-a-week hang with me and my friends from across comedy, sports, and entertainment, where we talk about all the funny, weird, interesting stuff happening in and around the world of sports. So whether you're a diehard fan or just vaguely sports curious, Casuals is the podcast for you. You can find Casuals on the SiriusXM app, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Give it a try. What's the worst that could happen?
The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Avalanche General Manager Chris McFarland. What went in to maybe change that duo in goal?
With the work of our scout, Wedgwood's experience, he was a veteran guy. He's been through the grind. We were very bullish on McKenzie, and when the opportunity came to add him, we just felt it was the right move for us, long term.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe, you decided to jump right back into it.
New Jersey Devils reached out really within an hour or so of the news coming out of me being let go. And the more I got to know Tom and his vision for the team and seeing the situation, it was a tremendous opportunity that I couldn't let pass by.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Rebound, Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Leafs to the penalty kill with 4.5 minutes to play. Trying to end a 2-game losing skid. Leafs are 19-10-0 on home ice. Wild win the faceoff. Shot from the blue line, bounces into the goal. That hit a body in front, took a hop and a bounce.
I think it was Austin Matthews that it glanced off. Right around the hash marks with traffic in front. Spurgeon, I think, is going to get credit for it. He launched it towards the net. You talk about this being basic on a power play. Win the draw, get it to the middle of the ice, and just launch a wrist shot from the blue line. And Minnesota Wild are now up 2-0 on just 6 shots on goal in this game. Coming into the game, the power play was only 5 for 19 in the 6 games before this. 22nd in power play, 30th in the penalty kill this year. It's hard to believe they've spent most of the season near the top of the Central Division. Well, I mean, they were close to Winnipeg for a while. Now they're 3 back at Dallas and 11 back of the Jets.
Spurgeon 6th of the year. Kuznetsov had his 2nd of the season. And despite the fact that the Leafs have outplayed the Minnesota Wild. They are trailing 2-0 in the game.
It's the first power play goal from a defenseman for Minnesota this year.
And over the line it goes for Tanev, who swings it around. Boy, that sounds like it's a familiar refrain, doesn't it? Far side. Pontus Holmberg couldn't come up with it. Wild have it under control in their own zone. The Leafs are not home again until after the Four Nations tournament. They will embark on a long western road trip before the tournament and then don't play again afterwards. And now a turnover in front of the Leaf goal. Owen Wall came across and made a couple of good saves. It comes to Devon Shore. Shore will play it around back of the net. Cut off there by Morgan Riley. Flipped up ahead for Robertson, and he starts down the right wing, but he can't muscle it in over the line. Bogosian in over the line. Into the corner for Kuznetsov. He couldn't control the puck. The Leafs trying to work it out. Stolen back. Chance now for Lacko. A shot that deflects over top of the Leaf net. Pass ahead for Pacioretty. Drop back now and brought on by Fraser Minton, who shoots it into the far corner. 2:47 to play in the period, and the Leafs down a pair here in the first period. Tanev trying to get it in over the line. Pietrangelo not going to go to the Four Nations tournament. Some speculation that Chris Tanev might be named to the team, but nothing official yet.
Yeah. As a fan of Canada, you might want him to go. As a fan of the Leafs, you might be thinking, take some time off, go to a beach.
Yeah, get rid of the bruises. Kept in by Toronto on the far side. Pass goes to Bobby McMahon. Angle shot, blocked. Rebound goes around back of the goal. He gets to it. McMahon cycles it back behind the net for Matthews. Matthews trying to get away from some checking, then made a pass that was partially intercepted. Then he gets it back again. Matthews to the blue line to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Back to Matthews, closing with a wrist shot. Rang it off the iron, and he dented that far post.
And boy, that toe drag, he changed the angle by about 3 feet, didn't he, before he let it go?
That was Marc-Andre Fleury. He'd be over giving that post a little attention.
He might be buying it flowers.
He's going to play in Montreal the next game that the Wild have. It'll be the last time he gets to play in his home province, barring the Stanley Cup final. Leafs can't keep the puck in. Domi has to go back to center ice. McCabe. Pass gobbled up by Minnesota. Shot blocked and tipped out at center ice by Toronto. Less than a minute to go, says Mike Ross. Played high to center ice and down into Minnesota territory. Brock Faber goes back for it. Justin Kia and Dan O'Rourke are the referees tonight. Shander Alfonso and James Tobias, the linesman. Puck down in the Toronto zone. Played ahead for McMahon. He just does get it out. Marner added some forechecking, but now here's Eriksson Ek bringing it in and sending it down into the zone. Matthews knocked down on the play. Marner able to work it to the line and just get it out. And complaining to the official about something as he heads to the bench. But now Zuccarello gets it back into the slot. A shot, and that was blockered away there by Wall. Wall getting his stick back in his hand as it was knocked out. And the Leafs are going to get the puck to the line, but not out. Not even a tennis racket attempt there by Marner worked. Finally knocked over the blue line as the horn ends the period. A period that the Leafs didn't play badly.
I was going to say, if you take the score out of it, they had a pretty good period. They had some great offensive zone time. Best opportunity comes near the end when Austin Matthews rings one off the post. Essentially, you almost look at it like the Ottawa game, right? Where you lose 2-1, but the goals are essentially a 4-on-2 when Camp goes to the bench with a broken stick, and a fluke goal that lobs over Wall's head off a body and just inside the post. And really, Minnesota, nothing fancy about the two that they scored in the opening period.
So it is a 2-0 Minnesota lead. And Ailish Forfar, along with Justin Cuthbert, will take you through the first period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Howard Stern celebrates the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live.
You would run home on a Saturday night and wait for that show to come on.
A week-long tribute featuring Howard's interviews with the cast and creators of SNL.
Farley was infamous for that. He could make people laugh.
He just had his chins down and he just blew up.
Plus, a brand new roundtable special with a panel of SNL All-Stars.
Yeah, that's a ticket.
SNL on Stern. Starts Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Howard 101 and the SiriusXM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gord, and they must say, okay, if we make a coaching change here, chances are that at least for 10 games, we're more than competitive, and we're probably going to win much more than we lose.
Coaches are probably yelling an expletive, right? About, whatever, how that particular trend is going. So you're right. So far, it's like perfect.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Hockey 24/7 on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio.
Playing in the Four Nations face-off for Team USA, Connor Hellebuck.
How do you feel about getting a chance to play for USA?
The type of hockey it's going to be fun. There's going to be some high-pressure games. You're going to be putting your country's jersey on. You're representing your country. I think we're going to have a great fan base around us, and I'm really looking forward to what it brings.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and on your schedule with the SiriusXM app.
The UEFA Champions League is back on SiriusXM FC, and this year it's bigger than ever.
Absolutely ridiculous from Real Madrid. Merseyside magic from Mo Salah.
Now with more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy.
What a start for Inter! Haaland scores the hat-trick!
From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on SiriusXM FC 157 and the all-new SiriusXM app.
From in the crease to in the locker room.
Four Nations Team Canada face-off associate GM Jim Nill. You as a manager view goaltending going into the tournament in February.
Now we're talking about two of the guys that won Stanley Cups and play in those type of pressure games. That's a pretty good resume to have. So we're pretty confident with it and pretty confident with the team that we're going to have playing in front of them.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and on your schedule with the SiriusXM app. The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Avalanche general manager Chris McFarland. What went in to maybe change that duo in goal?
With the work of our scout, Wedgwood's experience, he was a veteran guy, he's been through the grind. We were very bullish on McKenzie, and when the opportunity came to add him, we just felt it was the right move for us, long term.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe, you decided to jump right back into it.
New Jersey Devils reached out really within an hour or so of the news coming out of me being let go. And the more I got to know Tom and his vision for the team and seeing the situation, it was a tremendous opportunity that I couldn't let pass by.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM
Radio Network.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, the fan of the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert with your intermissions after a 2-0 period lead by the Minnesota Wild. Kick things off there at Scotiabank Arena, which is too bad because we talked about how much it'd be great to get a win on home ice, get the energy back of the crowd. You're not playing many home games for the next little while, and it was a bit of a dud for the Leafs.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be like, wow, that was predictable because, they've had a couple days off and they had a gala on Monday night, a little outdoor skate. Clearly, they haven't been in the throes of it like they have been for many parts of the season. Like, how many times are we going to come up with a different reason why they don't play well to start a game? Like, it feels like we do it over and over again. When we're sitting in this room, chances are the Maple Leafs first period didn't go very well. And it didn't go very well there. Like, yeah, you can look at the numbers and they were in the game, I guess, by the numbers, but it just didn't feel like they had any pop, no juice, and they're down 2-0.
No pop, no juice. But yeah, you mentioned it. The last couple of days have been busy for the Leafs. I was wondering about it. We were talking about it in our pregame meeting. I was like, well, they're either going to come out and smoke everybody's like 6-0 because they've had a couple of days of rest, or they'll fall behind because, I mean, it's not on-ice commitments, but there's the gala, there's the outdoor skate, there's all the things that you do in your 3 days since you've last played. And like it throws you out of a rhythm a little bit. And they had a casino night and they had just a lot going on for the Leafs. That's not an excuse. That's just something you got to deal with if you're an NHLer. But it looked like they weren't really ready to start. Good thing is we have seen them find a way back into games a few times where they fall behind and they just get one and they get rolling. But let's go through those goals. The first one was tough. Like, we've talked a lot about Morgan Rielly and his struggles this season, and I know Bonesy brought it up, like leading the defense core there and minus, I think it's minus 17 now with that one. But he just doesn't have, I don't know what it is, because I don't think he's just fallen off a cliff and isn't a productive defenseman. I'm not seeing that offensive push from him, which I think he builds confidence from, but he's making mistakes in the D zone. He just looks really off. And in that one, he just gets kind of pinched into the boards, and the D zone was already kind of upside down at that point, clear puck right to the slot, and the puck goes in. But it's another knock for Rielly, another moment where you can circle and be like, man, I just don't know what's up with him this year.
Yeah, well, we dissect his game a little bit more recently because the game has been pretty bad recently. Like, I've heard a lot of he's, learning a new system here under Craig Berube, and maybe the system under Craig Berube is not really built for Morgan Rielly, and I guess that could be true. But what happened in that period? It was just a puck battle that was lost, and he's been battling for pucks in many systems over the course of his many years playing hockey. That's just losing a puck battle and having a forward basically, pinch you off, box out, and throw a pass in front. Well, the rest of the system, I guess, doesn't do its job to make sure that it's there when a mistake is made. So clearly, there could be some issues associated with the system, but the simple things in Morgan Rielly's game, the winning puck battles, the doing the very basic defensive things, well, they're also lacking as well. So I'm not really sure how to get to the root cause to really understand why it's flailing a little bit here for Morgan Rielly. And I'm not so certain we should be like, okay, he'll be all right in the playoffs. That's when he always plays well. I don't know if we can do that either, but I just don't even think there's a answer here. There's something that's going to be discovered that they're going to be like, aha, a eureka moment with Morgan Rielly. I just don't know if that's on the table. He's just got to get his game going. In that first period, he didn't have his game going. Yeah,
that leads to a 1-0 start for the Wild, and then another goal on the PK, and that was just a great face-off play. They win the puck back, the defenseman skates over, walks the line, shot. It hits off about maybe one or two people before it goes in the net, and that's just the way she goes on the PK. You got to win a draw, and you got to get the puck out. And I don't know what their most recent PK stats have been, but I felt like it's starting to fall off a little bit. And so now it's a 2-0 game. Already 20 minutes into it, you've kind of the crowd has definitely lost any of the juice and pop that they had. And it's going to need a goal early on in the second period to kind of start digging yourselves out of it.
Yeah, and we've seen it before. We've seen them get back into games before. We've seen them, erase multi-goal deficits just like that in the snap of a finger in a second period. Very, very, very recently. So it's not to say we should write the obituary on this game, but that was a rough first period. And to your point on the penalty kill, it's you should win the draw, but you're not going to win every draw. It's a 50-50 proposition normally. So you could, I guess, hang your hat on that. And it does take a bounce, and the PK has been sagging, but that one just felt a little bit more fortuitous than anything else. But you got to earn your bounces too. Earn your next power play. Earn your next bounce by winning the next faceoff when you get that opportunity, and maybe they can crawl back into this one as well.
I think they definitely can. Just takes getting one here early in the second period. We'll take a quick break. We'll get you the out-of-town scoreboard before we get you set for the second. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuzz shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
With the confidence and freedom of all-wheel drive, a turbocharged engine, and tons of cargo space, the 2025 Honda CR-V was made for winter adventures. But with heated front seats, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a cozy interior, you may want to stay in its comforts a little bit longer. Lease the CR-V LX all-wheel drive for $105 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,500 down. OAC conditions apply. Includes $1,500 lease bonus. See HondaOntario.com.
Four nations face off for the world to see. This February, international best-on-best hockey is back as NHL stars compete for their country to see which hockey nation will reign.
Start power in abundance.
Canada, Finland, Sweden, USA. Teammates turned rivals, and rivals turned teammates. For country, for glory. Four nations.
We are set for puck drop.
The Four Nations face-off begins February 12th on Sportsnet.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
At last, the Subaru winter is here. It's the perfect weather for the beach. Feel the sun's rays on the small amount of skin peeking out of your ski mask. Put on your beach puffer and hear the sound of the waves crashing over the chatter of your teeth. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan
And the Leafs Radio Network.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert, a 2-0 lead for the Minnesota Wild after 20 minutes. Let's take a look at the games going around the NHL tonight. The NHL scoreboard is presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. Visit connexontario.ca.
5 games in the NHL tonight, including 3 ongoing. It is end of 1. Flyers and Devils still scoreless. And the Panthers have a 1-0 lead, end of 1 over the LA Kings. Still to come tonight. The embattled Vancouver Canucks are in Nashville to take on the Predators. And Utah, who reduced its list of names, potential names, down to 3 today, will host the Pittsburgh Penguins. What did we have? We had the Hockey Club. We had the Mammoth. And I forget.
Come on. You don't remember the other one? I looked it up for 40 minutes because I couldn't pronounce it. So Utah, the Mammoth, and the Wasatch.
The Wasatch.
Wasatch or Wasatch?
Anyway, it's like a
Wasatch. Okay?
It's a Rocky Mountain region.
Yeah.
A Wasatch.
Something like that.
We learned that today. You learn something new sometimes. And we did today.
Okay, that's it. Those are all the games tonight?
Those are the games.
Oh, okay.
5 in total.
That's it. It's a light night. Tomorrow night, the Wild will go to Montreal to play the Habs, which will be a big one because it's Marc-Andre Fleury's last game in Montreal, unless there's a Stanley Cup final.
Or he reneges on the retirement
thing. Okay, not enough of that.
Or he gets traded.
Okay, well, maybe it's not.
Couple scenarios there.
It could be. I think this is last.
I mentioned the pregame that, Joel Eriksson-Ek, Austin Matthews, key matchup. How to get Matthews away from Joel Eriksson-Ek? Well, they played head-to-head. The entire first period, we'll see if Matthews can get something going against a really difficult matchup tonight.
All right, Jim Ralph and Joe Bomo of the call of the second period. Next, you're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, the Fan of the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
This week on Let's Go with Bill Belichick, Max Crosby, Peter King, and me, Jim Gray.
And we've got Andy Reid. You're just got a good football team there. That's all there is to it. They're well coached. They're mentally and physically tough.
I'm lucky to be in the position to have these guys. You get those special groups that come through, and you sure love when you're in a situation like this as a coach. pitch, and you can feel it.
Listen to the extended version of Let's Go, now available exclusively on the all-new SiriusXM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gord, and they must say, okay, if we make a coaching change here, chances are that at least for 10 games, we're more than competitive, and we're probably going to win much more than we lose.
Coaches are probably yelling an expletive, right? About, whatever, how that particular trend is going. So you're right. So far, it's like perfect.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
The UEFA Champions League is back on SiriusXM FC, and this year it's bigger than ever.
Absolutely ridiculous from Real Madrid. Merseyside magic from Mo Salah.
Now with more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy.
What a start for Inter! Haaland scores the hat-trick!
From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on SiriusXM FC 157 and the all-new SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM. The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back, stick handles to the backhand, moves in front, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM. Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Rebound, Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM. Radio Network.
Leafs trail 2-0 to the Minnesota Wild. 8 shots apiece. As Huznadinov opened the scoring with his second as a Minnesota Wild. Alako and Shore getting the assists. And then Zuccarello and Eriksson Ek setting up Spurgeon, whose shot from the point went off a body, bounced a couple of times rather crazily, and ended up over the shoulder of Joseph Wall. And the Leafs have built themselves a 2-0 hole to try and climb out of.
It's not like the Minnesota Wild aren't battling injuries of their own. I know you can look at the Leafs lineup being a little depleted, but certainly Kirill Kaprizov is going to undergo surgery and could be gone for 4 weeks or so. Is a huge loss for them. Jonas Brodin, Jesper Wallstedt, Marcus Johansson. That was a Connor McDavid elbow that has taken him out of the lineup.
They have just one scratch tonight, and that's Travis Dermott, the former Leafs defenseman. Leafs to the left and the Wild to the right. The puck is dropped. We're underway in a 2-0 deficit to try and climb out of. Tanev on the right wing boards, carries to the red line, launches it high, too high, too high. Went into the screen and out of play. So it'll be brought back into the center ice area.
And it's been incredible about Minnesota this year. The road record, 18-5-3 on the year. They're tied with the Washington Capitals for most road wins this season. Talking about a surprise team.
Well, the Leafs are going to have to improve on their road record. They're 11-8-2, but they have got a pile of road games coming up here. Western Canada swing coming up. Leafs keep the puck in the offensive zone. A deflection in front of the net. Shot right on. Big rebound in front of the net, and it's shot over top of the goal there by Matthews. Pretty good scoring chance for the Leaf captain there as it's played to center ice. McMahon regroups it for Tanev. Up ahead for Matthews to McMahon. McMahon in with a shot. That was blocked. Plays it around back of the net. Leafs are getting a change started. Played to the line and out. And the Wild, Brock Faber gets it down into the Toronto zone. Morgan Riley reverses the puck to his defense partner, and now Jake McCabe will start up ice with a pass to Morgan Riley. He'll get it returned. Pass now to Nylander. Nylander's pass was nowhere near Morgan Riley, and Wall had to come out and play the puck, and now the Leafs just get rid of it to center ice. So with all kinds of time and space for a breakout, none is forthcoming. Now Domi works to the line and in on the right side for Nylander. Nylander unable to get by the defense, and back come the Wild on the left wing side. trying to drop it back. Zuccarello getting it into the slot and fanning on a pass far side, and then an easy wrist shot is handled off the stick of Marcus Foligno, and a face-off coming in the Toronto zone to his left.
That was just a simple play. The Leafs don't get it deep and try to sneak a defensive substitution in. And once the puck is turned over just inside the Minnesota line, back come the Wild, and the Leafs are big time scrambling to get back. Shots on goal are 9 apiece. The Leafs have had some opportunities, but again, nothing clear cut, right? And I think that was the last couple of games. But sort of from a high slot.
Yep. Robertson has his pocket picked from behind. Ogren brings it in over the line. Liam Ogren into the corner, got it back of the net. Trennan tried to get it in front. The Leafs intercept. Pacioretty rolling it down into the offensive zone, trying to deny an icing, but it will not happen. Got a little bit too much on it, and Fraser Minton couldn't help him out. So a face-off will come back in the Toronto zone. 2 minutes played here in the second period. 2-0 Minnesota.
Well,
Sweet Lou from the Sioux is in town too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Haven't seen him in a while.
My father used to play minor hockey with him coming up in the Sioux.
Lou Nanny? Boy, he's Mr. Hockey in Minnesota, though, isn't he?
And looks great.
Oh, does he ever?
He's one of those guys that's looked the same for 30 years.
Yep. Tommy Reed, another of our favorites. Good to see him. Radio color analyst traveling with the team. Played around back of the net and into the far corner it goes. Chip to the line, a long shot. Deflected wide of Wall's cage. Leafs batted out at center ice, and Lorenz will send it on the backhand down into Minnesota territory. John Merrill using his defense partner, and Bogosian gets it ahead, but unable to get into the zone was Trennan. Leafs turn it back up ice, and now brought on by David Kampf. On the wing for Reeves. He plays it in for Kampf. Back of the net, a quick centering pass. No one there. Reeves able to secure the puck on the far boards. Takes it in along the wall. Sent around the boards, and Tanev will pinch to keep it in. Back to the point it comes. Kampf to the left wing side. A shot by the Leafs on the far side by Ekman Larsson is covered up by Philip Gustafsson. And we got some shoving in front of the net with Reeves and Declan Chisholm. Reeves, of course, is a former Minnesota Wild.
There's chats with between Reeves and Marc-Andre Fleury during the pregame warm-up.
Saw a nice bit, too, as Murray was, the two of them were at
Matt Murray.
Matt Murray. Of course, they were teammates for Stanley Cup wins in Pittsburgh, and they had a really nice long chat and kind of a hug fest there too, which was really quite nice too. So I don't think, is there anybody that's ever said a bad thing about Marc-Andre Fleury?
No. Well, I mean, after maybe some of his pranks. Briefly.
Shot from the point is swallowed up by Gustafsson. Yeah, he's famous for those, isn't he?
Yeah, and now, you know, with social media and cell phones and video and everything else, a lot of them are captured that you can see and watch back. By the way, going back to Ryan Reeves and Zach Bogosian, two of the few players in the league that don't wear visors anymore. I believe Ryan O'Reilly still without.
There's Matthews off a face-off win at the blue line, sent it towards the net, bounced to the side of the goal. Marner unable to deliver a shot, able to get the puck back to the blue line and into the corner. Now a centering pass there for Riley didn't work, and out come the Wild with Matt Zuccarello. Carrying to the line and in. Helped out there by Boldy, who will send it into the corner and around the board's far side for Jake Middleton. Middleton's pass comes back to the point. Long shot stopped by Wall. Into the corner is Matthews, unable to come up with it. Middleton has it on the far half boards. Got it freed up for Zuccarello. Zuccarello back to the point. Middleton with a long shot. Blockered away there by Wall. Puck comes back into the slot. A shot on Wall. Makes his best save right there. And it's timely. 3-0 is a bigger hill to climb than 2 as he comes out and takes the shot away from Matt Zuccarello.
Zuccarello, since getting back in the lineup for the Minnesota Wild, he'd missed 13 straight out with an injury. 21 games back, 6 goals, 21 points in those games, and had an assist on the power play marker here in this one. So point per game guy since coming back from the injured list.
Face off to the left of Wall. Won by Toronto. Tanev quickly around the boards. Nylander doesn't get the puck out, but it is poked out at center ice. And Domi couldn't come up with it as it comes to the blue line and out at center. Now Nylander has his stick lifted and it's brought back by Foligno, but it's going to be way offside. As Ryan Hartman, in his attempt to straddle the blue line, ended up blowing a tire, and he was halfway to the Leaf net when the puck was brought in.
Leafs need something to get this crowd kind of amped up a little bit here. I think there's so often when there's these games, East versus West, and there's no McDavid or there's no real selling point, you get pretty quiet in this building.
Chopped around the boards by Domi to Nylander. Nylander banks it back to Tanev. His shot is deflected just wide as Pontus Holmberg tried to get his stick on it. Now Holmberg back of the goal. Tied up there. The puck comes free, and Foligno has tackled Oliver Ekman-Larsson for some reason. Is there a penalty?
And who's got it?
Well, the Minnesota Wild door is open.
Is that Zuccarello that we were just talking about?
No, it's Hartman, Ryan Hartman.
38, not 36. All right. Interference. All right, high stick, so a little easier for the officials to call. Ekman-Larsson rubbing his chin. That might be the downside of having a beard. It's harder to sell the nick or the injury. But this is a huge power play for the Leafs. 15:20 to go in the second period, and down 2-0.
Draw won by Minnesota. Played around the boards into the left wing corner and shot out and down the ice.
It's been that kind of night, hasn't it? Minnesota wins the draw and scores. Leafs get a penalty, lose the draw, and down the ice it goes.
Here's Matthews coming through neutral ice. On the wing for Nylander, on the right wing side for Pacioretty, into the corner for Willie. Nylander around on the boards. It's going to find McMahon. He can't make a play with it. It bounces into the corner again. Pacioretty trying to dig it free. Interesting power play unit here. Pacioretty and McMahon out there. Now Matthews got a pass from Marner and was going to the net and dropped his stick because it had broken. Marner coming through center. New stick and all comes Matthews. Hits the line. Left wing side. McMahon punches it around back of the net into the near corner. Pacioretty trying to get it back to the blue line. Had it intercepted. And now Nylander and Marner playing defense as the Wild bring it in with a shot that is deflected off of Wall. And the Leafs have the puck again. 50 seconds left in the power play. And they have not had a shot on goal, nor have they been able to set up. Here's Matthews across the line. Got it back again along the boards. Pacioretty for Nylander. Nylander works around to the side of the goal. Double teamed in there. Pacioretty helps out as it comes back to the blue line to Marner. Marner on the left wing side. A shot that was stopped. The rebound is knocked away by Gustafsson as well. Marner will keep it in on the right wing side. Late action here on the power play for Toronto. Back to the blue line to Matthews. Return to Marner. Closing with a shot off the stick and off the glass. Far side, Nylander trying to come away with it. Pacioretty does. Rolls it to the side of the net, but it is going to be pounced on by Gustafsson to stop play. Interesting grouping. Pacioretty, McMahon, and the three big boys.
The three big boys. And again, I mean, you get a little nervous when you see it going back. And you get that 2-on-2 rush the other way feels a little more dangerous, doesn't it?
You're not really sure those guys skate backwards that well. Leafs to the left wing side. A shot by Domi went over top of the goal. The centering pass is blocked, and the penalty expires. And the Wild will get it up to the formerly penalized player, and Hartman gets in over the line with a backhand, stopped on the short side by Wall. Played to the line, but not out. Leafs get it to the line again, and still not out. Gaudreau has it blocked, and now a long lead pass for Domi, who is hooked to the ice. No call. Foligno got away with one there. Shot down the ice by Minnesota, and Foligno dodged a bullet there. Domi was in behind.
I don't know if Domi just loses an edge here trying to get away from. Yeah, it looked like he was on the way down, Joe. I'm watching the slow motion replay. He was on his way down before Foligno got to him. I don't know if he was trying to cut back maybe towards the middle of the ice.
But you're not supposed to argue with me when I say that a penalty should have been called. Why would you do that?
Want to talk Paul Henderson? Yeah, and I don't disagree with you on that.
All right,
the
fine.
significance.
Well, then I won't disagree with you on the non-penalty. Are we friends again?
What about Lake Placid?
I don't
the
know
guys
about
that won
that. No, I don't want to talk about it. Shot down into the zone. Round on the boards it goes. And Chisholm for the Wild to his defense partner. Gets it out at center. Zuccarello got it in over the line. Here's Eriksson Ek into the corner. Got it back to the point. Near side now for Chisholm. Chisholm doesn't shoot it. Kept along there by Zuccarello. Chisholm up against the boards is pinned and the puck goes free. Pontus Holmberg turns on a dime and gets it off on the far side for Tanev. Quick up to center ice but not into the zone. Tanev comes back to recover the puck in the neutral zone and now stretches things out with Jake McCabe. McCabe giving it back to Tanev. Tanev fanned on a pass for Reeves. Reeves finally comes away with it. Got it off on the wing and a return pass for Minton. Gets in over the line only to have the Wild send it down into the Toronto zone. 11:36 to go in the second period. All of the scoring in the first. A 2-0 hill for the Leafs to climb. And the puck has gone out of play. Face-off will be in the center ice circle. 11:28 left in the second. 2-0 in favor of the Wild. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Visit ConnexOntario.ca.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
The Subaru winter has arrived. The crisp air and negative temperatures mean one thing: camping. Emerge from your icy tent and bask in 4 to 6 hours of sunlight. Enjoy the unmistakable smell of campfire through the glacial wind pummeling your face. Relax by the water, taking in the soothing sounds of thick ice cracking and popping. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
Cross the line with a pass and they score!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan
And the Leafs Radio Network.
2-0 Minnesota. Goals from Kuznetsov. I got to look at that a couple of times before it comes out of my mouth, I'll tell you that much. And Spurgeon.
Young Russian forward.
Yes. KHUSNUTDINOV.
OV?
It sounds just the way it's spelled. Kuznetsov. Played down by the Wild into the Leaf zone, and they get a change started. Back of the net, the Leafs start out with it. Myers, right wing pass Bobby McMahon got it in over the line, but Matthews couldn't get it deeper for him. The Leafs have to come back to center to restore the puck. Played off the boards to center. Marner lost his glove in the exchange. And now here are the Wild getting it down into the Leaf zone. Wall got out there and almost got a hit in on Eriksson Ek. I think he was trying, didn't he? He kind of stuck that hip out a little bit. Leafs get it down into the offensive zone. Chipped along the boards there by Bobby McMahon. Did you ever throw a body check while you were playing goal at somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Until I got drilled back.
Brought back now by Tanev in on the right side. Tanev with a sharp angle shot. That no problem there for Gustafsson. Back to the point. Kept in by Riley. A shot. That went just wide. Wraparound doesn't come. The Leafs give it back along the boards for Riley back of the net. That draws a crowd. Reeves gets it back to the point. Oliver Ekman-Larsson to the near side. Got it back to OEL from Riley. A shot in traffic doesn't make it through. And the Wild are going to clear it out and down the ice. The linesman, Shander Alfonso, kind of gave the Wild a bit of a break there, waving off the icing. Up on the left wing for Domi. In over the line. Domi into the slot area for Morgan Riley. Can't shoot it at the net. OEL does, and it's just off the mark wide. Domi is able to trap the puck and send it back behind the net. Reeves couldn't knock it down. And the Wild are going to play it out into the center ice area and down to the Leaf zone. Brought on by Lacau, who tried to get in over the line. He stops up in the near corner. Cycles it along the boards now for Faber. Faber with a wrist shot that is 30 feet wide of the net. Foligno on the far side. Back to the point it goes. Near side for Merrill, who's fresh onto the ice. Foligno has to help him out to keep it in. Merrill back of the net and in the near corner. The defenseman trying to contain the puck. The Leafs try to get it out but can't. Merrill into the slot this time and a shot went wide. The rebound tipped by Riley to the near wing and it's banked out at center ice then by Pontus Holmberg. Wild in again with a long shot that's high and wide over top of the Leaf goal. 8:50 to play in the second period. Still 2-0 Minnesota. Back to the point. Bogosian sends it around to the far boards. Marco Rossi is there to get it to the point. Another shot in traffic, deflected just wide on a sharp angle shot. Stopped there by Wall. Leafs get it free. Nylander, a breakaway. 13th breakaway of the season. Hit the goal post. Hit the goal post. Leafs have had a pair go off the iron. Matthews in the first, Nylander here. 13 breakaways. He has scored on 5 of them.
You can see you can see it from up here. Puck goes around the boards and it's bouncing. And Nylander is coming across the blue line, parallel to the blue line, waiting. Now, the defenseman keeps it in. He's going to veer left. But it gets past him and he takes off to the right, beats Gustafsson over the right shoulder, short side, coming off the left wing, but off the crossbar.
Yeah, it was Declan Chisholm that he kind of got caught in no man's land, didn't he? Played to the Minnesota blue line. Swept back, trapped by the Leafs, but they can't keep it in as it comes to center. And Benoit will get it up on the left wing. Did he misfire? Yes, he did. Icing is going to be the call, despite the fact it looked like Robertson had beaten his man, but
Pacioretty is pointing.
Yeah.
As well, I'm not.
Is there a discussion here?
Let's see who you get at center
they're going to have it at center ice. Yep. All right. You're entitled to make a mistake.
I was going to say that's a very subtle way of officiating of being reprimanded, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to face off, but we're going to do it here.
We'll do it here.
He screwed it up.
You screwed up. 7:45 to go. Leafs down 2-0. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Sirius XM's Super Bowl 59 radio brings you closer to the biggest event of the year as the stars of the sports and entertainment worlds converge in New Orleans. We'll be covering it all.
Superstar Kenny Chesney, Patrick Mahomes.
And it's the only place to hear the game plus the Apple Music halftime show starring Kendrick Lamar.
Get the whole world talking King Coach.
Sirius XM Super Bowl 59 radio kicks off Monday at 10 Eastern on Channel 106 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Playing in the Four Nations face-off for Team USA, Connor Hellebuck.
How do you feel about getting a chance to play for USA?
The type of hockey it's going to be fun. There's going to be some high-pressure games. You're going to be putting your country's jersey on. You're representing your country. I think we're going to have a great fan base around us, and I'm really looking forward to what it brings.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. From in the crease to in the locker room.
Four Nations Team Canada Face-Off Associate GM Jim Nill. You as a manager view goaltending going into the tournament in February.
We're talking about two of the guys that won Stanley Cups and play in those type of pressure games. That's a pretty good resume to have. So we're pretty confident with it and pretty confident with the team that we're going to have playing in front of them.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Network.
Willie Nylander now has 13 breakaways this year. He has scored on 5. Jordan Kyrou of the St. Louis Blues has had 10 breakaways and scored on 4.
Boy, and then you wonder how many go off the post. How many, we're very close to adding to that goal-scoring total. But I just love, you can see from up here where Nylander was heading to the boards and just waiting to see which side the puck was going to show up on.
Shot from the point, rattled wide of the Leaf goal, back of the net, controlled by Tanev. Swept ahead for Matthews at center. Matthews will chip it in over the line, knocked down by the glove of the defender, launched high to the line, and it'll poke its way to center ice and then played in on the right side for Boldy. Matt Boldy dropping it back. Faber will play it in around back of the net. Wild lead 2-0. 7:13 to go here, second period. Down to our left in the Leaf zone. Matthews kicks it to Marner. Marner with a long lead pass. Guess who they were looking for? It got past Willie, who was coming on the ice.
And we have seen Craig Berube do some juggling with lines, trying to generate a little bit of offense, so throwing Nylander out and kind of loading up the top three to create 7 minutes to go here now in the second period. Leafs still down a pair.
Marner off a face-off win in the Leaf zone. Gives it off on the wing. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has deflected it down into Minnesota territory, and the Leafs are getting a change going. Fourth line over the boards for Toronto. Errant pass goes down and an icing call, and will the fourth line remain out there for an offensive zone face-off? And
nope.
The answer to that is... well, yes. No, they're going to take the defense and change.
Well, and the reason I said no is right away Mitch Marner stood up.
Oh.
And he's still standing at the end of the Leaf bench, and it was like he was just waiting for the tap.
So the defense changes, but the line stays out there. Merrill poking it along, cut off there by David Camp. Goes high into the near corner, pinching down McCabe. Got it back of the net for Reeves. Reeves back for David Camp. It comes to the side of the goal, and another offensive face-off as Gustafsson has put the glove on it. And we'll wait for the Minnesota Wild to make their change, and let's see what the Maple Leafs do. And they will make a change as well.
The Leafs have actually won 61% of the face-offs, but one of the losses led to the power play goal right off the draw. That put the Minnesota Wild up 2-0 in this game.
Domi with Nylander. And Holmberg out there for Toronto. Draw one by the Leafs. Back to the point. McCabe shot. Breaks a stick. But the Wild are going to get it out at center ice as Foligno had to go and get a new cue. Domi unable to get wide. Leaves it there for the defense. Backhanded out at center. Off a stick and down into Minnesota territory. Nylander will go up and force the issue, but it comes up on the left wing for Foligno. Foligno to the right wing side. And a wrist shot, pad save made there by Wall. Off the stick of Ryan Hartman. And the Leafs trying to get the puck free, and they do. Domi with a nice move to flip it in on the left wing. Nylander can't get to it, but Domi does. Bodies his way into the corner. Centering pass comes in front, and a backhand sent wide of the goal by Pontus Holmberg. Great effort by Domi and Nylander, and Holmberg couldn't finish for them. Puck is in against the boards at the blue line. Kept in by the Leafs. Nylander couldn't kick it up to his stick. Stolen back. Holmberg can't get a shot. Willie's going to the bench, and the Leafs have to go back to center ice to restore the puck. Myers will shoot it in. Round on the boards to the far side for Kuznetsov. He turned the puck over for Pacioretty. Pacioretty works in with a centering pass. That go off a goal post too. Puck comes back to the blue line and bounces out at center. That hit a post?
No, I think that just glanced off a leg.
All right.
Joe, and then off the side of the net, maybe.
It's close. Shore brings it in for the Wild, and then a shot is swallowed up by Joseph Wall. He stops play to give the Leafs a face-off in their own zone. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second period. Still 2-0 Minnesota. The lead built in the first. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
With the confidence and freedom of all-wheel drive, a turbocharged engine, and tons of cargo space, the 2025 Honda CR-V was made for winter adventures. But with heated front seats, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a cozy interior, you may want to stay in its comforts a little bit longer. Lease the CR-V LX all-wheel drive for $105 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,500 down. OAC conditions apply. Includes $1,500 lease bonus. See HondaOntario.com.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
Ah, at last, the Subaru winter is here. It's the perfect weather for the beach. Feel the sun's rays on the small amount of skin peeking out of your ski mask. Put on your beach puffer and hear the sound of the waves crashing over the chatter of your teeth. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey.
Centering scores! Max Domi! My goodness!
On Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
And the Leafs Radio Network.
2-0 in favor of the Minnesota Wild. .440 to play in the second period.
A little bit of a snoozer, isn't it? I mean, the Leafs have had some decent moments. Probably deserve a little better than being down 2-0.
One of those goal posts could have gone in, eh?
Could have turned everything around, yeah.
Sure.
Right now, like so many games as well, Joe, now special teams is a huge factor. You know, you're a goal down and two goals down, but -1 in special teams.
Played in off a stick into the zone by Bobby McMahon. Middleton sends it around. McMahon intercepts. McMahon back of the net for Matthews. Trying to get away from Brock Faber. Matthews to the far board. Still with it. Tried to send it in, but it was partially blocked, and Zuccarello gets it out at center ice. Eriksson Ek knocks it down into the far corner. Knocked away by Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And it's played out at center ice. It's stolen by Marner. Cross the line and dropping now for Matthews. So closing. Got it in from McMahon, and he didn't deliver a shot. Back to the point, Tanev. Left wing side. Oliver Ekman-Larsson shot blocked. Centering pass comes all the way back to the blue line. Now to Tanev on the right side with a shot in traffic. Man knocked down in front of the net was Matthews as he got tangled up there with Ryan Hartman. And now a breakaway opportunity for Matt Boldy. He's all alone going in. Tanev trying to break him down, and he did. 2 saves made there by Wall. What a bit of effort there from Chris Tanev.
Boy, Boldy got his stick caught up with Wall, and Wall might have been holding on to it.
Leafs bring it in, and they're offside at the blue line. 3:16 to go. That breakaway was from about 3 feet inside the Minnesota blue line. And Tanev had to come a long way to get to it. Big scramble in front.
And before that, I mean, and I do like that, you know, even with the big line out, simplify things. Marner went to the front of the net. McMahon came, Matthews, everybody there. Throw the puck to the net from the point. We saw how that worked for Minnesota on the power play in the opening period.
Boy, you can certainly see why Chris Tanev's name is being mentioned as far as the Four Nations tournament. If you watch him game in and game out.
And even showing a little speed. Getting back on
right
that.
there. I guess he did. Here's Pontus Holmberg turning the puck over. And it's out at center ice off a stick and shot into the Toronto zone. Wall out of the cage. Gets it along the boards for McCabe. A pass at center to Domi across the line. Tried to flip it in, but it was blocked. Domi sends to an open wing, and now Nylander catches up to it. Lays it back for Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg brings it back into a crowd and in along the boards in the near corner, and that's drawn even more feet attached to it. And brought out now. Lorenz trying to stuff it in. He dug that out of the corner and decided to take it to the front of the net. And Gustafsson just did get a glove on it as Nick Robertson got felled heading to the front of the net. Or was that Holmberg? No, it was Holmberg. I'm sorry.
That reminds you of the Fred Sherrill line. Fred Sherrill, the former coach of the Flyers, used to write little sayings and verses and proverbs on the scoreboard. And I know one was, the shortest distance between two dots is a straight line. Take it and arrive in ill humor.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Steven Lorenz arrived in ill humor, but he certainly took the shortest route, didn't he?
Draw to the left of Philip Gustafsson. Has he got any shutouts this year? Take a look and see how that's
As a matter
going.
of fact, he's had 3 of them already.
All right. Throwing one at the Leafs here with a shot deflected off his blocking glove into the far corner. Played out at center ice. Kuznetsov couldn't get in over the Toronto line. Pacioretty gives his man a couple of shots. And now the Leafs start back up ice and block it into the zone. Cleared away by goaltender Gustafsson. And back to the line. Blocked by Myers, but carried to center and now in on the left wing. Trying to get wide was Lauko, and he was taken off the puck. Wild keep it alive and play into the corner, but it's cut off there by David Camp. He'll go back of the net, find a avenue to get it up on the wing, and then wow, they're calling that icing?
Well, I thought that was tipped right at the center line.
So did I, and so did Steven Lorenz.
Are we going back to center for the face-off?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Lorenz continues to argue with the official coming back. I mean, I don't know if they're going to show a replay for us on an icing, but I think Lorenz, that stick, usually they'll give you, about 6 inches?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if they score here, they better show that icing again.
Yeah.
Puck still in the Toronto zone. Zuccarello working into the left wing corner, centering pass cut off there by Myers. Myers against the boards, double teamed in there, trying to outfight his man. Got some help from Camp. It comes back and now flipped out at center ice, and we can forget about the icing. Middleton goes back behind the Minnesota goal. Brock Faber starts out with it. Had it turned over there. Matthews able to shove it in over the line, but Zuccarello is back to help out with less than a minute to go in the period. Knocked down on the far side with Eric Sinek. Maple Leafs have it back in their own zone. Chris Tanev got it ahead for Matthews to the line and in. Matthews goes wide, took a shot from a sharp angle, didn't get much on it, may have been partially blocked. And the Wild will get it out at center ice with Matt Boldy getting to the red line. Pushed in over the line by Zuccarello. Marner trying to get it away from Gaudreau, and it is back out into the center ice area. Wild shoot it right back in again. Tanev to his defense partner. Matthews gets the pass through center. Matthews in on the right side. Dropped it off for Bobby McMahon. Back into Matthews. A centering pass. That was kind of strange. It went off the skate of the defenseman in front of Gustafsson. There was no one in a blue jersey around him, and he just kicked it back to the goaltender. And so, with time, 6.3 seconds, there's a face-off in the Minnesota zone.
Yeah, that was Zach Bogosian that decided it was better to be safe than many thought. He had little pressure coming from the far side, but that'll set up. Well, it would be nice if it was an important face-off by Pontus Holmberg.
The draw, one, and a shot is deflected there by a sprawling Marcus Foligno, and that'll end the period. Well, they did get a chance.
Yeah.
No scoring in the second stanza, and the Minnesota Wild will carry a 2-goal advantage to the third, outshooting the Maple Leafs 20-19 after 2 periods of play.
20-11 in the second period, and again, neither team really had anything quite in tight except maybe the Boldy breakaway and then the Nylander breakaway. Other than that, it seems like just a lot of cluttered hockey, and Minnesota playing a pretty intelligent road game.
Leafs have hit a couple of goal posts. Nylander on his breakaway and Matthews in the first period. Eilish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert coming your way. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
All this week on MLB Network Radio, the players take control. Players Week, where the best voices in baseball take over as hosts. Josiah Gray, Kirby Yates, Jazz Chisholm, Royce Lewis, Liam Hendricks, Justin Lawrence, Nick Martinez, and more. Players Week, all this week on MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM 89, and on the Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
I think general managers must sit back in their chairs, Gord, and they must say, okay, if we make a coaching change here, chances are that at least for 10 games, we're more than competitive, and we're probably going to win much more than we lose.
Coaches are probably yelling an expert.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Wait, where's the webcam button? There it is. Hey, what's up, Leafs fans? Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight here on TSI. We are going after that plaque right there. We're going after 100,000 insiders/subscribers. Thank you so much for being here with us, chatting it up, cheering on our Maple Leafs every single game of the season and the playoffs. Now let's get back to the hockey. Welcome to the new insiders. Cheers. And don't forget, turn on that bell so you don't miss it when we go live. We go live a lot of other sports as well. We'll see you back in the chat.
To maybe change that duo in goal.
You know, with the work of our scout, Wedgwood's experience, he was a veteran guy, he's been through the grind. We were very bullish on McKenzie, and when the opportunity came to add him, we just felt it was the right move for us, long term.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The big names are on NHL Network Radio.
Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe, you decided to jump right back into it.
New Jersey Devils reached out really within an hour or so of the news coming out of me being let go. And the more I got to know Tom and his vision for the team and seeing the situation, it was a tremendous opportunity that I couldn't let pass by.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The UEFA Champions League is back on Sirius XM FC, and this year it's bigger than ever.
Absolutely ridiculous from Real Madrid. Merseyside magic from Mo Salah.
Now with more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy.
What a start for Inter! Haaland scores the hat-trick!
From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
From in the crease to in the locker room.
Four Nations Team Canada face-off associate GM, Jim Nill. You as a manager view goaltending going into the tournament in February?
Yeah, we're talking about two of the guys that won Stanley Cups and play in those type of pressure games. That's a pretty good resume to have. So we're pretty confident with it and pretty confident with the team that we're going to have playing in front of them.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and on your schedule with the SiriusXM app.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate, weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Eilish Schwarfar and Justin Cuthbert, a scoreless second period, and we are still stuck at 2-0 for the Minnesota Wild after 40 minutes. And man, it's really struggling to get a lot of momentum in that period personally. Like, come on, give us something to talk about, Leafs.
Yeah, we've been playing the game lately. Will the Maple Leafs not provide a response, whether it's a first intermission or a second intermission? And at least the latest edition of that game is no, they're not going to provide a response. I mean, like, it was an okay period, but okay periods are not going to get the Maple Leafs back in this game. It just felt like a lot of nothingness, a lot of nothing happening out on the ice. A lot of, there's one source of offense. It's a 5-forward power play that includes Bobby McMann, or a top line that includes Bobby McMann. Like, the depth of this team is definitely showing that it's somewhat toothless, at least on the night. And then even the top line, it's like, well, there's kind of like a third or fourth line guy playing on the top line tonight. So I don't know. Like, we're both big Bobby McMann guys, and this is no shade at Bobby McMann, but like, you're kind of seeing tonight that with the injuries and with a team that's already missing some things, it can get real thin real quick.
Yeah, Bobby McMann isn't like your top line solution for an entire season. A plug and play guy for sure when Matthew Nyes is out of the lineup, but it's not really, they're not driving enough offense. It's not dangerous enough. Minnesota's really good at kind of clogging the center of the ice. Like, I don't know how many high danger chances the Leafs got in that period. You're better at finding those things on the internet. It just didn't feel like it was like, oh, wow, we're getting goalied. You know, there's lots of games we can come on the radio and the Leafs are getting goalied, and it's just like this outstanding performance. I just don't know if they've had, 4 or 5 really, really solid chances. Joseph Wall made a couple of really good saves on the other end, keep it 2-0, but it hasn't felt like they've been peppering the, Gustafsson and net there. It's been very perimeter-y, and the Leafs can be really comfortable. They can be really, dynamic on the hash marks. They can do button hooks and go back to the point, but like, it's getting in those uncomfortable areas. It's playing in front of the goaltender. It's screening. Like, an ugly goal might be the way that this one goes, because I think Minnesota knows exactly their game plan. Wasn't that exactly how they played the last time the Leafs and Minnesota played? We were in the same boat, kind of like,
two unwatchable games so far.
Like, make something happen. But Minnesota's really good representation of low impact, low danger opportunities for the Leafs, and it just feels like they're kind of perimeter-y.
Yeah, the numbers would bear out that, okay, the Maple Leafs are forcing the issue a little bit. 52 shot attempts, 19 shots isn't overly impressive, but 19 scoring chances, 10 high danger looks total, 7 in the period. But like, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like there's been anything that's been overly high danger. There was a William Nylander breakaway, and that's like one of the main sources of offense that you can get from the Maple Leafs right now is William Nylander being opportunistic in neutral ice and jumping on an opportunity to grab a loose puck and skate down the ice on it. And yeah, he hit the post. It could have been a goal. The Leafs could have been back in this game. But the chances like that are few and far between. Like, I'm
trying to think of the other 9.
Was there one more good chance in the period? Maybe they were in a position to have a look, but honestly, it wasn't a period.
We shouldn't have to strain our brains to remember a good high danger.
And even if there was a Pontus Holmberg chance and it rolls off his stick, but like you don't expect him necessarily to convert in those areas because he's Pontus Holmberg, and there's only a couple guys who you would. And that's the truth about this team is like, yeah, if it's Marner or Matthews, great chance. Nylander, great chance. It might go in the back of the net. But there's a lot of the guys you can't even trust in the great positions. And I think Max Domi's name continues to rise to the surface there because he seems to be a pain point tonight in that he's had the puck or given opportunities to get the puck in some reasonably dangerous areas, but absolutely nothing, has mounted from those opportunities.
Most definitely.
It's another tough offensive night for Max Domi, who is playing in the top 6 tonight.
You mentioned William Nylander and his breakaways. It's pretty unbelievable. Like, I know in tongue-in-cheek, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, Austin Matthews was like, he leads league in breakaways. Well, he does, and this was before tonight, so he's at 13, but he had 12 breakaway attempts so far this season and 5 goals on the year. Jordan Kyrou next below him with 10, and he's capitalized on 4 of those, and then Alex Tuch with 10. So he gets himself...
It feels like 13's light. I feel like I've seen 13 in the last month.
You probably have. Maybe that's where he's just backloaded them all, but...
That's fair.
That's Sportsnet stats. I can't deny their information. But he's getting breakaways. It would have been good to they're just one shot away. It's a 2-0 game. It's not the end of the world. Like, they could easily come back and win this. But that one went posted out. There's another post they hit in the first period. Mm-hmm. There's been some opportunities. It's just bearing down and putting one in the net. Gustafson's playing pretty good, but as I said, I don't think it's one of those goalies like that Lucas Dostal night.
It hasn't been a Dostal night.
It hasn't been a Dostal night.
You're a Bobby McMahon truther. Do you like him so much so that you're happy seeing him play the first 1 minute and 51 seconds
I'm not.
Of a 5-forward power play?
No, I don't think he needs to play 1 minute and 51 seconds of a 5-forward power play. I think he could, right now, with the limited bodies, he should get some power play time.
Sure.
But I don't think 1 minute 51 of a power play where they're losing a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of things to take from Bobby McMahon playing the first minute 51 of a power play. One being, do we not think anything of the defensemen on this team?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be special, right? You have 5 forwards. You can't leave one of these forwards off the power play. The 2 forwards playing with the big 3 tonight with Tavares out were Max Pacioretty, who hasn't hit 5 goals on the season, and Bobby McMahon, who was scratched on opening night. And if we're being honest with ourselves, on a truly great team, and this could be a truly great team by the end of the year, swingman, 10th forward type of guy. It's supposed to be an exception to not have a defenseman out there. And maybe the exception is with this team is that they don't have any reasonably decent offensive options from their blue line. But still, to give up some, or the threat of giving up something to put Bobby McMahon out there, just doesn't seem overly wise to me.
All right, 2-0 lead after 40 minutes for the Minnesota Wild. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Out of Town Scoreboard and get you set for third period. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
4 nations face off for the world to see. This February, international best-on-best hockey is back as NHL stars compete for their country to see which hockey nation will reign.
Star power in abundance.
Canada, Finland, Sweden, USA. Teammates turned rivals, and rivals turned teammates. For country, for glory, 4 nations.
We are set for puck drop.
The 4 Nations Face-Off begins February 12th on Sportsnet.
With the confidence and freedom of all-wheel drive, APR for 60 months with $3,500 down. OAC conditions apply. Includes $1,500 lease bonus. See HondaOntario.com.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuzz shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Over to our sideline reporter and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
The Subaru winter has arrived. The crisp air and negative temperatures mean one thing: camping. Emerge from your icy tent and bask in 4 to 6 hours of sunlight. Enjoy the unmistakable smell of campfire through the glacial wind pummeling your face. Relax by the water, taking in the soothing sounds of thick ice cracking and popping. Get out there in winter like it's summer with standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and advanced safety systems. Visit your local Subaru dealer today.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in stock, ready to deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists.
What's up, insiders? How we doing this evening? Man, I hope the audio is working correctly for me here on the new computer. The live chat is not working. 24/7, 365 every time. Okay, so the microphone did not connect. I just got home from volleyball pickup and practice. So we are doing, this is the behind-the-scenes stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Big third period ahead. The Leafs, we've got some work to do, buds. I'll be jumping in here throughout the third period. We're going to run from the new computer back to the intermission. We'll see you guys back in the chat. I'm going to try and fix the chat to be right over there. Go Leafs, go.
It's a 2-0 lead after 40 minutes for the Minnesota Wild at home here facing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's take a look at the NHL scoreboard presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. Visit ConnexOntario.ca.
An offensive outburst in the second period for the New Jersey Devils, who lead the Flyers 4-0 after 40. The Panthers hold a 1-0 lead over the Kings after 40. Still to come tonight, the Canucks will visit Nashville, and Utah will host the Pittsburgh Penguins. A bit of a light night in the NHL.
Good, because we don't have much time. Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph will have the call of the third period next. It's 2-0 for Minnesota after 40 minutes. You're listening to Most Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM Sports.
And the Kansas City Chiefs win an unprecedented third consecutive Super Bowl. Sirius XM NFL Radio is your Super Bowl headquarters with top newsmaker interviews and expert analysis as the Chiefs battle the Philadelphia Eagles. Your Super Bowl home, NFL Radio, Sirius XM Channel 88 and the Sirius XM app.
Sirius XM Sports. Wherever you are, your team plays here.
NHL Morning Skate.
All right, insiders, we're back to commercial break. We got Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph coming up real soon. Refill the drinks, refill the cocktails, the pop, the water, whatever. I just got home and I don't have to drive anymore. So, cheers to Sons of a Pitch Soccer Central. Cheers to Manchester United. Cheers to True Killer on YouTube as well as Discord, EAFC. You guys like soccer? Check out my soccer channel as well. Okay, that's enough of the pitch there. All right, Leafs fans, I have been out. I've been driving around all over the place, but now that this new computer is set up, we're getting all these new graphics going. Big shout out to Muhammad Ali, Stack Art Code on Fiverr. Big shout out, my brother. Amazing graphics here, dude, and we are going to see these revisions here in a few days. It's going to be amazing. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Come on, buds. Third period, let's go. Who's getting us on the board? Who's getting us on the board tonight? Let us know in the chat who is going to score for our Maple Leafs. Man, we're too busy selling Oreo cookies and not or giving away Oreo cakesters through TikTok and Instagram and all that. Than playing hockey on the ice against the team from Minnesota. I'll turn the volume back up because I have to figure out why the microphone doesn't work when it says new computer problems, right? Cheers, everybody. Go Leafs, go. Big third period. I'll be here in the hub with the game on, the stream on, the computer going. I'm in heaven. TSI Allison, drive safe. Let me know when you're getting home. I'll have that wine ready for you. Go Leafs, go. Big third period.
Liars don't lie, but liars can figure. I'm going to figure. My figuring is that the Maple Leafs on shots on goal, attempts blocked, and those that missed have a total of 52 attempts at goal. Minnesota Wild, 20 shots on goal, 5 attempts blocked, 7 missed for a total of 32. That's 52 to 32. That's 20 more attempts at goal than, see, that's my math.
Yeah.
I'm really good at this so far because it's all added up.
Well, I haven't done it yet. Give me
No. No, you'll screw it up and get it wrong.
Did you carry the 6?
I did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's there. They just haven't been able to score, right?
Yeah.
2 goal posts are part of those that missed the net. Wild to the left and the Leafs to the right. We're underway. And a 2-goal hill to climb. Bobby McMahon getting it back to the point. OEL with a shot. That was stopped by Gustafsson. There was a juicy rebound there, but Marner had gone too far. Now it's going to slide all the way down on goal, and that'll force Joseph Wall to cover up on it as Zuccarello was down in that neck of the woods, and he and Oliver Ekman-Larsson having a bit of a conversation out in front of the net.
Yeah, well, by the way, Minnesota this year, when leading after 2 periods of play, a perfect 18-0-0. The Leafs are 20-0-0 when leading after 2.
I don't want to know that. I want to know what are the Leafs when they're trailing after 2.
The Leafs are trailing after 2 are 6-15-1.
So what you're saying is 6 times they've come back.
7 to get a point. I believe 1 was in Minnesota.
Yep.
And Tavares scored in the 3rd period.
And lost in overtime.
Yeah.
Leafs flip the puck out at center. Bouncing disc goes to Bobby McMahon. McMahon in with a shot that was off the stick of Faber and went wide of the net. And the Wild have shot it out and down the ice, and linesman over Shandor Alfonso must have it trained to catch or something, because he's waved off a couple of icings there to bade the game go on. Launched into the far corner it goes. Nylander trying to chip it for Domi. Returns the favor. And the puck along the boards now, and the Wild are going to get it out on the left wing for Foligno. Laid off onto the right wing side and brought in over the line by Rossi. A shot deflected wide by Joseph Wall. Around the boards, trying to keep it in at the point and succeeding is Spurgeon. He has one of the 2 goals. Off a power play, comes back to the point, down into the corner. Wild with some zone time here as they play it around the boards. Foligno was stationed in front of the net, but they don't get it to him. Far side for Chisholm. Chisholm back of the net. Wild trying to get free of it. McCabe tied up his man. Holmberg was knocked down in the corner and lost his stick. The puck comes back into the near corner. Domi trying to chip it out, has played it to the line, but not out. Kept in by Minnesota. Tired group out here in the blue jerseys. Back to the point for Chisholm. Chisholm around the boards to the far side. Nylander is going to get it out. That'll get a much-needed change going. First real sustained pressure. Now an icing caller, puck that goes out of play.
Yeah, Leafs were kind of in penalty kill mode, weren't they? Everybody was collapsing in. Minnesota owned the boards. Never really did get anything clear cut towards Joe Wall. But they are going to get a face-off at center ice.
Draw won by Toronto. Benoit got to the red line, got it just over the blue line, but Minnesota has time and space, and John Merrill regroups with Zach Bogosian, who gets it to the lead blue line. Played back out into the center ice area. Neither team's been able to mount any kind of a rush on goal at this point. Fed around the glass then by Joseph Wall, and he almost shot that out into the glass, which would have been a penalty, or over the glass, which would have been a penalty. Leafs keep it in at the other end, though. Fraser Minton along the boards, bodied it free. It comes back to the point. Myers rings the boards with it to the near side. Here's Robertson. Took a shot from a sharp angle. It was stopped. A centering pass. Oh, set up there by Pacioretty, but Minton couldn't pull the trigger. Minton trying to lay it back in and goes into the forecheck after it. John Merrill getting it back to the turnover here. Brought on by Marner. In for Oliver Ekman-Larsson to Matthews, a backhand, and smothering that is Gustafsson on the short side. Couldn't get it to the forehand, but got it to the net.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Ekman-Larsson makes a good play. Comes down the middle of the slot and feeds it off to Austin Matthews on the right wing side. But because Matthews is a left-handed shot, he's got to take it on his backhand and doesn't get the usual zip that he does with that toe drag snapshot.
I think he was hoping more for a rebound there than
and Bobby McMahon was there, but he probably got it elevated a little more than he wanted.
Draw one by Toronto. OEL goes back off the skate of Marner, though. He was trying to get it to Tanev, and it caroms all the way down into the Toronto end. Tanev up ahead for McMahon. McMahon hits the line, a little saucered effort, didn't work. He gets it again and sends it around back of the net. Comes to the side of the goal. Marner almost stole it as a centering pass, just out of the reach of Matthews. Round on the boards for Marner. Marner on the near wall, trying to get it back to the blue line, but it comes out at center. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson has to go back for it. OEL gets it ahead to Matthews. Matthews turning back in his zone. Zone stops up. Now looks for an outlet, working back into the zone to allow teammates to change, and he'll get the line change done. Fourth line over the boards. Lorenz goes into the corner after it. Nylander taking the spot of Reeves on the right wing. Nylander into the right wing boards, back of the net for Lorenz, back to Nylander. Nylander down the boards, couldn't get by the check. Flipped high to center ice and down into the Leaf end. Racing after it is Devon Shore. Shore for the Wild into the far corner. Shore plays it back in along the boards for Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov, who opened the scorings. Pass was intercepted by David Camp. And the Leafs get it out at center, but misfire. And the linesman, now the other linesman has a dinner date somewhere, because that was waved off and that was icing.
And there's got to be someplace that closes early, right?
Has to be. Has to be. Puck back in the Toronto end. Rink-wide pass. Brought on at center now by Myers. For Domi, back in for Myers. Poked into the corner for Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg couldn't get to it. Played on the boards. Domi knocks it down, makes a good play, and then tried to get it back to the blue line, and Benoit couldn't keep it in for him. Pacioretty back into the lineup after an injury. Played down into the corner. Pacioretty couldn't come up with it, and it's back out at center ice. John Tavares skating and is getting closer by the day.
Matthew Nyes was on for the morning skate as well.
Rink wide now to Oliver Ekman-Larsson to Robertson. Nifty move! Oh, and he just had it poked off his stick as he was about to deliver the forehand.
A little bit of speed coming over the line. I did that little dippy play between his own skates to go backhand forehand.
Minton sends it into the zone, but it's cleared away by Gustafsson. Out come the Wild at center. Frederick Gaudreau plays it down into the Toronto end. 2-0 Minnesota. Shot from the point, deflects in front, knocked down by the glove of the Leaf defender Riley, and is played out at center ice, but Fraser Minton couldn't get away. Now Riley trying to outmuscle the puck, fed it off the far boards, and it's going to be an icing call against Toronto, and back into the zone with 13:33 to play in the third period. Still 2-0 Minnesota.
For the Leafs, as you mentioned, coming into this game having lost 2 in a row, but only a single goal in the 2 losses. Here at home against Columbus, and then the 2-1 loss Saturday night against the Ottawa Senators. So the time off and the breaks and the practice time that they haven't been able to get for a large chunk of the schedule that they've been able to get with limited numbers of games hasn't really paid off so far, has it?
No.
Not high energy.
Faber gets it back at the point, doesn't shoot it, off on the left wing side for Middleton. Sharp angle shot, stopped by Wall. Puck is poked free and got to the line, but not out. Round back of the net now for McCabe. He steps into his man, but the puck maintained by Minnesota. Back to the point. Faber goes D-to-D with it. Got it back to Zuccarello. Now into the corner. Centering pass and a one-timer. Oh, and a dandy by Matt Boldy, but it went just wide of the near post. Leafs dodge a bullet there. Back of the net. Morgan Riley playing it ahead for Marner. Doesn't get it out. Marner now outlets. Jake McCabe banking it over the line, out of the reach of McMahon. Thought that should have been an icing too, didn't you? I looked at you and you just shook your head too.
Like I'm watching the Bills-Chiefs game.
You didn't think the officiating was very good in that?
I just didn't understand it.
Leafs in over the line. Pontus Holmberg has his stick lifted and the puck retained by Minnesota, and they'll shoot it into the Leaf end. Well, if you think that the officiating was not good for the Buffalo Bills, you're not alone. Played back in along the boards and back of the net, but grabbed off by Chris Tanev. Banked off the boards to center. Wild are going to send it back in, but it's offside.
Yeah, all I would say, and you know I'm not as big a football fan as you, and then I tune in the playoffs and everything. And all I will say, which I think is accurate, any call that you might have determined to be 50-50 went one way.
Went one, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a wrong call, but I'm just saying all these 50-50 calls seem to go one way.
You have an astute eye for things like this.
It's more of a gift than a
Yeah,
learned
it is.
behavior.
It's a gift, all right. Yeah. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
America's best college football players have descended upon Mobile, Alabama, aiming to impress NFL scouts, coaches, and executives at the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl.
That's a great read by Jackson Dart.
The path to the draft starts at the Reese's Senior Bowl as the American team.
Touchdown, Alabama. Jalen Milroe
takes on the national team.
59-yard strike from Dylan Gabriel.
Coverage begins Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88 and the SiriusXM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
What's up, insiders? All right, hope the audio is a little bit better. Hey, I can't even speak. I hope the audio is a little bit better here. I'm having some issues trying to get rid of the desktop audio and whatnot here. So we'll get that fixed eventually here. Probably going to do some more testing during the Raptors streams moving forward. But great to see everybody tonight. Come on, buds. What the heck is going on? We've got to get back into this game. If you have not done so, please hit that like button down below. It's over there. Like Veronica said in the chat. Thank you, Miss V. Cheers, Carmen. Cheers, Brandy. All the ladies hanging out with us. Where's the love of my life? She's probably driving. TSI Allison. I love you. Hope Tom's doing all right there during soccer practice. Had to sit out for a few minutes. But come on, buds. Let's get a goal here. Let's make this interesting. Sorry for the background noise there in the radio. We're going to get this stuff fixed. I won't cut in anymore. We'll just let the game ride out. And as always, I will let the post-game play until it's done. And then possibly send you to the Raptors stream if that's still in their tank for flag battle. The tank is over. Back to hockey. Joe and Jim are back.
Against Western Conference teams, they're 34-11-3 for a .740 win percentage against the West since 2023-24. Dallas, who reside in the West, are next at a .734 percentage, 53 wins, 17 losses, 17 overtime. And now the Leafs score!
Well, that's how you get to have a good record against the West. Pontus Holmberg just rifles one from the left wing boards to the front of the net, and Nylander is there. And that came out of nowhere.
Nowhere? No, I was busy reading stuff instead of paying attention.
No, but I thought,
hit me.
I think you set up.
Oh, I did?
The Leafs had success against the West.
Oh.
And seconds later, they're back in this game to make it 2-1. I mean, a simple little play. Flip it in on the left wing boards. Holmberg races after it, gets there first, throws it to the top of the crease, and Willie Nylander, who hit the post on a breakaway in the second period, a perfect chip shot past the blocker of Gustafsson to make it a 2-1 game, 11:44 to go here in the third.
And it got this building revved up a little bit. Here's Matthews going to the net. It was tripped and no call. Marner getting it back to the point. It comes D to D. Ekman Larsson holding, sending it well wide of the goal. A bouncing puck to the side of the goal comes in front. And Marner is filled in from behind as Gustafsson is able to cover up on it.
You like this, though. The Leafs get on the scoreboard and come right back with a strong shift with a big line.
Holmberg and Domi assist on the 29th goal of the season for Willie Nylander, who hit the post on a breakaway in the second period. But the Leafs have got themselves into the game, down a goal with 11:27 to go. Okay, we have to pay attention now. Leafs win the draw, and a shot by Marner deflects off a body and went just wide, but up into the screen.
And at the point right before Nylander had scored, the shots were just 2-2 here in the third period.
Did that go off the mask?
Yeah, that must have. The mask is being taken to the bench for a new buckle.
Yep.
That's one of those, wow. I mean, if it's, 3 inches either side?
Either side. That's in the net. Gustafsson gave the mask to the officials who took it to the bench.
And we already mentioned the Connor Bedard goal last night in Tampa. But that's where a lot of players will say they shoot. They try to shoot for the goalie's ear. You know, if there's that little space up top, you're going to hit it. Of course, Marner hit the goalie's ear.
So with the Leafs in first place, there's always scoreboard watching.
Yep.
Last night was simply perfect.
Yeah, it was. We said it's like watching the stock market, but you had Tampa lost, Montreal lost, the Rangers lost, Boston lost to Buffalo. So the only team really happy would have been Columbus. You know, and Detroit, those teams that are trying to clamor in for wild card spots.
Draw one by Minnesota, but Marner takes it into the end boards for McMahon. McMahon coming out of the corner, got a backhand away, and Gustafsson had to make the save. I don't know if McMahon, out of the back of his head, could have seen Matthews just off to the side. If he slides this on the ice.
Yeah, and it's just a slam into the empty net for Matthews if he does.
Draw one by Minnesota. Middleton sends it around the boards, and it's tipped to the line and out. Shot back in. Leafs tag up and go into the forecheck again. McMahon chases his man back of the goal. It comes around on the boards, and Riley kept it in with a shot that went off a body and went wide. And now a lead pass. Springs Eriksson in with a shot. Wall stopped that. Another broken stick back of the goal, but it's of the Minnesota Wild player, and the Leafs are able to break it out. Pontus Holmberg to center. Being hooked from behind, is able to get it in over the line for McMahon. Couldn't get a shot away. Plays it around back of the net. Ekman-Larsson now, or at least Pontus Holmberg getting it back to the point. Riley, D to D, and goes to Domi. Domi off on the far wing, doesn't shoot it. Leaves it there for Willie. Nylander going around back of the net. Nylander getting it into the slot, a shot, and a good save off a Domi shot there by Gustafsson. And we get a delayed offside, and it's brought out at center now by Gaudreau. Played to the line, but turned over again. Wild will shoot it into the Leaf end. Wall out of the cage. Glances over his shoulder to find an outlet, and the Leafs get it out at center. Robertson leaves for Domi. Domi holds up on the far boards, but is running out of real estate. Pushed out at center ice effectively there by Liam Ogren, but the Leafs bring it back in, and a pass in front of the slot area there for Benoit. It didn't connect. Domi has it back in the net, though. Can't get it in front. Gets it again. Had it off a stick, and it is Benoit keeping it alive back of the goal. Back of the net now for Fraser Minton. Robertson trying to help him out. It goes into the near corner, and now the Wild, under some pressure, are going to ice the puck, I think. Yes, this one will be called, and it's coming back into the Minnesota end.
Like we got it. Speaking of officiating, I think we got Angel Hernandez doing the icing calls, right?
Oh, that's uncalled for. He tries.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Probably the most well-known umpire, right?
Is that what he's called?
Yes. Unless you can read lips during a ball game.
Draw one by the Leafs. Centering pass! Oh, and a chance Matthews had, and he couldn't handle the pass from Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Puck back in the Toronto end. Morgan Riley for Matthews. Matthews mishandles the puck. Wild get it again and bank it ahead. Eriksson in on the left wing. Rings the boards with it to come around to the near side. Back to the point, and a shot deflected wide of the Leaf goal. Bobby McMahon able to free it up, but then lost it. A hit on the boards. The Leafs come away with it. Oliver Ekman-Larsson with 8:46 to play. Gets it ahead for Matthews. Matthews to Marner. Marner in across the line. Slips it around the boards. It'll find its way to the near side, but no one there to help out. And the Wild get it out at center. Brought on now by Zuccarello. And a wrist shot is high and wide of the net as it goes to the far side and down into Minnesota territory. Hustling after it here is David Camp. Camp in against the boards is taken out there by Middleton. Wild have sent it out again. This is rolling on edge. Leafs caught a break there. Got up on edge and started rolling. And icing called here against Minnesota.
I think they're listed to us. Right? No, they're calling them in.
No, I phoned down and then told them the reservation was canceled. So they can't go wherever they were going.
Face off to the right of Gustafson. It was Ottawa Senator property. You know, it's funny. He's had such a great stint here in Minnesota. Great year this year. But was traded for Cam Talbot. As Ottawa was, searching before they got Linus Ullmark, kept searching for their number one goaltender. And the guy they trade ends up being the number one guy here in Minnesota.
Wild control the puck in their own zone. Brock Faber getting it up on the right wing. Knocked away by the Maple Leafs. Played ahead by Pontus Holmberg, and here's Domi down the left wing. Max works in, ridden off the puck there by Brock Faber, but goes after it as it comes around the boards. Ekman Larsson, far side for Tanev. Back along the boards for Nylander, in for Ekman Larsson! Oh, and his countryman came up big there. Gustafson with a great glove save off of Oliver Ekman Larsson. We'll go to commercial break with the Leafs pressing. They trail 2-1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Ah, at last, the Subaru winter is here. It's the perfect...
Cheers, Insiders! Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs game. A big shout out to all of the Insiders here in the chat and everybody that's watching here on YouTube with us while we listen to the Leafs game. The best call in the business, Mr. Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph. No better call ever, in my opinion. Thank you so much for being here every single night. And you are making a huge difference in our community with SickKids Hospital. The amount of donations that we are seeing in the football frenzy is absolutely insane. Thank you, Leafs fans, and thank you, Insiders. Now let's get back to the hockey. Go, Leafs, go!
6'5". Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need, when you need it, 24/7, 365, every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
They score! Rocket McMahon again!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
7:40 to play third period. The Leafs trail by a goal. And are out shooting the Wild now 26-23.
Really, Nylander was the one with that great pass out the right wing boards, right to the slot, to the left point, where Ekman Larsson came in and got stoned by Gustafson.
Here's Zuccarello in, breaking in a shot, stopped by Wall. And that will be covered up.
Might be only the second chance off the rush. He had the Boldy opportunity in the second period, the second one that Minnesota's had on the night. Nice little stutter step by Zuccarello.
Chances at goal now 63-40 in favor of the Maple Leafs. So I think your point is backed by some statistical information. Not that it's correct. Now here's Matthews in, and he snapped it over top of the net with a good wrist shot. McMahon comes out of the scrum with it, but couldn't find Marner. And the Wild will just get it to center ice. Oliver Ekman Larsson off the boards for Bobby McMahon. Left wing side, shot on goal, pad save. A juicy rebound was there, but no one had driven the net. And it's cleared out and down the ice now by Minnesota as both teams are changing. Under 7 minutes to play. Leafs down a goal. Morgan Riley up ahead for Robertson. Nicky gets it into the slot, and Minton's shot is into the chest of Gustafson, who stops play, having the 28th shot on goal.
Now for Fraser Minton, he'd love to find himself back on the score sheet. Pointless in his last 9. First 5 games when he was called up, had 2 goals and 4 points, but hasn't been able to get back now. His ice time hasn't been as high as it was, I think, in the first few games that he played either.
Leafs win the draw. Riley into the corner. Move by Robertson was blocked. Pacioretty works into the corner after it. Robertson trying to help out. Riley has pinched to keep it in momentarily, but the Wild are going to get it out at center ice and play it off Foligno, stick to center. Quickly back the other way. The Leafs shoot it right back in again. Wow, here's another icing that I thought was not an icing.
I'm going to look at it. About 2 feet shy.
Oh, okay.
It was just looking up at the replay quickly on the delay here in the booth.
All right, fine. I was wrong. All right, I was wrong.
But usually, like we said, there's sort of that gray area where they'll let it go.
How many times have you seen a defenseman carry the puck up? He gets about 2 feet from the red line, then it goes, and it's all duckety-doo, right?
Just missed Pacioretty. I thought Pacioretty got a piece of it anyway that would have negated the icing.
Draw one by Minnesota. Shot from the point, kicked away by Wall. Robertson airmails it on the backhand into neutral ice. Pacioretty will provide some push, but the Wild get it back and into the zone. Sent by Foligno around the boards to the far side. Hartman trying to work the boards. Foligno in with a hit. Out come the Wild in front with a shot that deflects off a stick and over top of the goal. Ryan Hartman back to the point, but unable to keep it in was Brock Faber. And the Wild have to go back to center. And as they try to shoot it in, it's played over the glass and into the platinum seats. And a break here with 5:46 to play in the third. The Leafs down a goal, 2-1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Bring home more from your in-car stations with the SiriusXM app. More than 200 streaming-only channels for every at-home activity. Music for kids, pets, even plants. Sounds for better sleep, breaking a sweat, and everything in between. Just search At Home to find it all with the SiriusXM app. At home on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
Hockey 24/7 on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio.
Playing in the Four Nations face-off for Team USA. Connor Hellebuck.
How do you feel about getting a chance to play for USA?
The type of hockey it's going to be fun. There's going to be some high-pressure games. You're going to be putting your country's jersey on. You're going to be representing your country. I think we're going to have a great fan base around us. And I'm really looking forward to what it brings.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91. And on your schedule with the SiriusXM app. From in the crease to in the locker room.
Four Nations Team Canada face-off associate GM Jim Nill. You as a manager view goaltending going into the tournament in February.
You know, we're talking about two of the guys that won Stanley Cups and play in those type of pressure games. That's a pretty good resume to have. So we're pretty confident with it and pretty confident with the team that we're going to have playing in front of them.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91. And on your schedule with the SiriusXM app. The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back. Stick handles to the backhand. Moves in front. Score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM Radio Network.
Nylander from Holmberg and Domi in the third period has the Leafs on the board, but they trail 2-1. 5:46 left to play, third period. Face-off outside the Toronto blue line.
So shooting the Wild 9-4 here in the third, 28-24 overall.
Draw one by Holmberg. Batted it on the backhand to center, and then it's quickly sent right back into the Toronto end. Leafs with it back of the goal. Chopped by Nylander to the line and out on the left wing, and now Morgan Rielly jumps into the rush. He's in across the line, tried to find Domi. Domi got it in along the boards. Holmberg back of the net. Centering pass comes to McCabe. He doesn't shoot it. Now he does, and it bounces in front of the goal. And it bounced just wide of the far post, and Gustafsson got bowled over into his own net. Leafs after it. Holmberg working on the near side. Looks to work in front. He does. He's on his backhand, and he couldn't deliver a shot. Now the Leafs are able to not keep it in as it comes to center. Could have been a penalty there, too, I think. Rielly off on the far wing. Cleared to the line, but not out. Then it bounces to center, and the Wild get a break on the left wing. Devon Shore looking for a man in front, and it bounced over the stick of Eriksson Ek. Back to the point, Faber. Pass intercepted. Brought on by Marner. He'll across the line. He stops up, waiting for people to come off the bench. Still with it. Marner to the left wing side. A shot. And that was deflected wide by Gustafsson. Kept alive by Ekman-Larsson. Shot by Tanev. Didn't make it through. Puck stolen by Marner. Had it in his skates, but it is taken away and played to the lead blue line. 4:20 to go. Pass up on the wing. Did that hit Marner's stick? Yes, says the linesman. No icing. Matthews gets it back. And a pass then by Tanev was an unexpected one because Benoit had just come off the bench and wasn't in position. Back down in the Toronto end. Brought through center, but a backhand pass made there by Myers, I guess, ends up going into one of the bench doors, and faceoff comes back outside the Maple Leaf blue line.
Yeah, you're talking about that puck that just bounced wide of the net. I was just going to say that right now it's one bounce that is a difference in this game, and that was a power play goal. Point shot, just a wrist shot that went off the stick of Austin Matthews and in. You look at the difference of the game in Ottawa, that fluke goal that went up in the air and bounced off a body and over Joseph Wall and in.
The Leafs have been the better team, but trail in the game. Tanev plays it down into the Minnesota zone. Bogosian ringing the boards with it to get it to the near side, but Nylander helped to keep it in. Rolling puck in front, and it bounced up into the air. Quick hands of Philip Gustafsson stops play. A face-off again in the Minnesota zone. 3:28 to go.
Pontus Holmberg's been a lot more dangerous the last few games as well for the Leafs. Getting an expanded role with the injury to John Tavares. Holmberg, you got to go back a while. His last goal, you'll remember, was the last full game, last win that Anthony Stolarz had. That was in New Jersey, where he scored the overtime goal to make it 2-1 in the third period. Overtime, shorthanded goal.
Draw one by Toronto. Tanev at the point of deflection in front, looking for Minton. He deflected it all right, but he slowed it right up. Now the Wild get it back into the Leaf zone. Boldy sending it back in the net. Woll will get it set up, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson starts out 3:09 to play. Keeping an eye on Joseph Wall. Nylander down the left wing boards. Works into the corner now around back of the net. Looks into the slot. Stops at the half boards. Down low for Pacioretty, who tried to draw it from his backhand to forehand and stuff it in, but it was stopped. And the Wild get it back and now provide an offside at the Toronto blue line with 2:50 to go. And Craig Berube will be trying to organize shift here to make sure the big boys are ready to go. It will be Domi out with Robertson and Holmberg. Face off outside the Toronto blue line, and Joseph Wall keeping an eye on the bench. Draw one by Toronto. Pass deflects off Robertson. Knocked in over the line for Domi. Domi to Robertson. Hooked to the ice in front of the official. I mean right in front of the official, and no call. Robertson.
Boy, that was right on the left skate of Robertson.
Going to the net. Took a scoring chance away and everything. Pontus Holmberg back in his own zone. Wow. Now the big boys coming over the boards. Riley gets it ahead. Ekman-Larsson to the line, blocked by Matthews. Matthews to the point. Matthews into the slot. Left wing side for Riley. Centering pass. Goaltender going to the bench. Riley back of the goal. Centers. Nylander can't get a shot away. Cleared to the line, but not out. Knocked down here by Nylander. Nylander back of the net for McMahon. Swung around the boards to Marner. Marner to Matthews. Matthews in the far corner. Still with it. Saucered back to Marner. Marner to Matthews. The one-timer coming, and it's blocked. Grabbed off there by John Merrill. Sent out at center ice. Marner with it at the red line. Played it off on the wing, but a bad pass. Brought on and shot wide of the goal. Marner with it again. Through center. Dropping it back for Matthews. Matthews sidesteps one but lost the puck. Puck in the center ice area. Shot towards the net, blocked by Matthews. 1:12 to go. Matthews to center, shoots it in this time. Pacioretty works it down back of the net. Puck into the corner for Bobby McMahon. McMahon comes out of the corner, back to the point to Marner. Marner into the corner to Matthews. Centering pass, deflected by Pacioretty wide. Matthews with it again, less than a minute to go. Riley, near side for Willie. Cross ice pass for Marner. Back to Willie off a stick. Willie works it into the corner. Nylander still with it. Looking for a man, but he's in trouble. Back to the point it goes. Riley to Marner, to Matthews. Closing, shooting, stop, short side. Matthews back of the goal. Centered, and it's going to go by everybody down the ice. 30 seconds left. One last rush. Marner comes to center. For Pontus Holmberg. Couldn't get it in. Wild are going to send it into the Leaf zone, and it's going to be tipped into the goal by Marcus Foligno.
Well, hard to say what a call would have been that would have put the Leafs in a power play. When Nick Robertson got taken down going to the net, Leafs have pucks all around, but don't really get anything clean cut on Gustafsson. Austin Matthews, a couple of one-timer opportunities from almost below the circle on the right wing side. Got it to the net, but couldn't produce a rebound out of it.
That's an awful non-call. I mean, just an awful non-call. It's 5 feet in front of the official.
Player has the puck.
Takes the scoring. The player has the puck. He's tripped and taken down, and no arm goes up. And that'll do it. Final seconds ticking down. And no one ever said it was supposed to be fair.
Well, Leafs go on the road now. 3 straight games, a single goal in each of the 3 losses to Columbus, Ottawa, and now the Minnesota Wild. As the Leafs' next action, they're going to have to score more than one goal, I'm pretty sure, in Edmonton, if they're going to stop this losing streak and end it at 3.
3 stars brought to you by your Ontario Honda dealers. Up your game. Lease the CRV from 2.99% up to 36 months. Visit HondaOntario.com.
Well, for lack of really picking someone that has jumped off the page for the Minnesota Wild, I'll go Jared Spurgeon as the 3rd star, scored the game-winning goal. Happened in the first period on a power play that put the Minnesota Wild up 2-0. 2nd star, I thought the Leafs had, from Pontus Holmberg to Nick Robertson, that they had some guys that had a little bit of jump tonight but couldn't finish. But I'll take the easy out and go Willie Nylander, star number 2. And
breakaway.
The
Leafs hit 2 solid goal posts, Nylander and Matthews.
So Willie probably had the better scoring opportunities, and of course the only goal for the Leafs. And Philip Gustafsson, 31 out of 32. He's able to turn away and help secure the victory for Minnesota.
So the Wild are victorious. The Leafs start on a Western road trip in Edmonton on Saturday night. We'll have it for you right here on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, beginning at 7 o'clock. We hope that you will join us then. Until then, we'll ship it off to Ailish Forfire and Justin Cuthbert for the postgame show. You've been listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
You've been listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. And
what's up, hockey fans? Those of you who are still with us here in the chat, hanging out after a tough loss for our buds tonight. At the game, running here on the phone. Tough loss. Tough loss here for our buds. Gotta get that out of there. Tough loss tonight. But it's been a couple tough losses for our boys here in the last few games. It's time to turn this thing around. We were playing good physical hockey, and then it kind of disappeared. So we'll see. We'll be back. I think this Four Nations face-off is kind of throwing everybody for a loop. But thank you all for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for sharing this out and bringing more hockey fans to our awesome community. 81,711 subscribers. That is just absolutely insane. But those of you like Bruno in the chat, Rod, those of you who were around back in the play-by-play days, right here where it all started, it's it's crazy to see how far we've come. I have this poll here on my computer on when do you think we'll pass 100,000 subscribers? And we didn't get it done in 2024, but we're going to get it done in 2025. Thank you guys and ladies so much for hanging out with us. I'll let the post game go. As always, let the post game dissect the loss or the win tonight, the loss. And we'll be back on Saturday night. I will be live from, I think, am I going to be in Wisconsin or Indiana on Friday night? I'm not sure yet, or Saturday night. Got a weekend full of volleyball, soccer, every kind of thing going on. It's going to be a fun weekend for the G's and whatnot. So big shout out there, Rod Bottomley. Cheers. Don D. Mark Daigle. Cheers. Miss V. Mr. Roboto. Carmen. Miller Time. Mushroom. How you doing? Dark Energy. Love it. Thank you guys. Lots of fun here in the chat. Western Canadian road trip coming up, says Mushroom. You are 100% spot on. That's going to be fun. I'm going to have to sleep in. So everybody tell TSI Allison I have to sleep in when the Leafs are on the West Coast playing in Edmonton and in Calgary and Vancouver coming up over the next week. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Got to go check on the Raptors stream, and we'll see you guys real soon. Cheers. Good night, everybody. Go Leafs, go.
Than ever.
Absolutely ridiculous from Real Madrid. Merseyside magic from Mo Salah.
Now, with more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy.
What a start for Inter! Haaland scores the hat-trick!
From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Network Ailish Sporfar, Justin Cuthbert with your short post-game show as we get you set for Leafs Talk with JD Buckets and Sam McKee. It's a 3-1 loss for the Maple Leafs at home to the Minnesota Wild, and that's another 3-game losing streak. That's the second 3-game losing streak in the last 9 games.
Yeah, kind of stumbling a bit.
Yeah,
they
I
get
mean,
to
that's
these points
not great.
so Tavares goes out and there's some good performances, and then it's like performances run out. And same thing happened with Austin Matthews, who was out for a while, and they did well to start, and then it kind of faded. It's pretty clear that they need their full complement of superstars to be the team that we expected. But yeah, that was one of the last chances to see the Maple Leafs win a game at Scotiabank Arena over the next 6 weeks or so. Only 2 games between now and March 13th to be played at Scotiabank Arena by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So yeah, they're going to have to pick things up after the break, gain a little of momentum, get that home ice cooking back to a certain extent because the opportunities now are predominantly lost.
Yeah, they've only scored 1 goal in 3 straight games, which is not the Maple Leafs of old. And of course, they're missing some firepower up front. But a 5-1 loss to Columbus, a 2-1 loss to Ottawa, a 3-1 loss to Minnesota. Not being able to put the puck in the net is something that we don't want to see, and we've seen that before in the playoffs. So maybe just a mid-season malaise. Let's look at the NHL scoreboard one last time. It is presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly. Visit connexontario.ca.
The Maple Leafs and Wild is the only final, but we are in the closing stages of the Devils and Flyers, with the Devils holding on to a 5-0 lead. The Panthers are at home to the Los Angeles Kings and currently up 3-0, with just a couple ticks left on the clock there. So the Maple Leafs lose ground to Florida tonight. First period between the Canucks and Predators is winding down. It's 1-1 in Nashville, and still to come tonight, the still to be named Utah Hockey Club, although it could be the Utah Hockey Club, are hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay, our next Sportsnet 590 The Fan Molson Leafs hockey broadcast is Saturday night against the Edmonton Oilers. That'll be fun. We'll be on the air at 6 o'clock to get you set with an hour-long pregame show. For now, we'll send to Leafs Talk with JD Bunkis and Sam McKee. Thanks for listening to Sportsnet 590 The Fan on the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Leafs lose their 3rd straight hockey game. A lackluster affair, another low eventer from the Maple Leafs. The 30 shots that they ended up putting on net, brother. Has there ever been a faker stat? Like the home scorekeeper, I think, was giving them a few in that one. brutal first couple of periods. They settle in the final frame. I've got a couple notes from this
era of Leafs hockey, regardless of who's behind the bench, that they can look like the best team in the world when they have to play with a little bit of urgency. But for some reason, they can't play with that urgency until there's some sort of, I don't know, is like not turmoil. That's not the right word. Adversity, like whatever it is, they really seem to need some desperation in the scoreline to be able to play like they played for half of that third period. Like even until they got the goal. When did they get the goal? 13 minutes left in the third. I don't have
halfway. It was about halfway through the third period.
Yeah. So from that point on, they caved the Wild in, and they were a much better team. And I thought they were excellent for that portion.
I thought they were going to tie it.
For sure. I really, so yeah, he scored that goal 8 minutes and 16 seconds into the third period. And after that, the Leafs were unbelievable. They carried the play. They were in the offensive zone for the whole rest of the game. But up until that point, it's just much of what I've seen from some of these games they've had this year, where it's just malaise, buddy. It's just, there's not a lot of feet moving. There's not a lot of urgency. There's not a lot of anything. It's just really, really unentertaining. Inentertaining, not entertaining, whatever the word, or however I'm butchering.
You had it to start.
Whatever I'm butchering the English, it sucks to watch. How's that sound? It's brutal. Yeah.
So I'd like to see the player tracker data for the second period. Like when you're talking about feet not moving, I would like to see, you know how they do the soccer thing where they go, look at these guys, they actually run 100 kilometers a game when most of the time they're actually just walking around.
Yeah. A lot of strolling going on out there.
They're just having a little walk and then they sprint for a little bit. And everyone's like, they're running a marathon out there. Like, I've seen it. I know what's going on. But yeah, I think the tracking data would show us a second period where it might have been the least feet moving of any period of Leafs hockey this season. So, I would like to rant, but first can I do excuse talk and then something that's been a little bee in my bonnet?
I would love to hear both, brother.
Okay.
Have at it.
So here's excuse talk. Okay. Yeah. They are missing guys. All right. They're missing Nyes and they're missing Tavares, and the bottom six just does not score. It provides them absolutely nothing. Although I will say that Nick Robertson, I thought, popped a little bit tonight. So good for him that he at least was threatening.
He's had a noticeable couple of weeks. Yeah, I'll give him credit.
Good for him. But ultimately, his primary function is to score goals, and I think he's still sitting on 8, right?
He just doesn't do it that often.
Yeah. So, Anyway, the bottom 6 doesn't score. So I would imagine that there is an added level of fatigue for the star players when they just can't take nights off, because whenever they do, it looks exactly like this, right? Yep. And on other teams that have better depth scoring, there is more likelihood of, hey, you know what? Your guys aren't going to have it every single night. And it won't be necessarily as noticeable because there's at least a chance that a third line or a second line can carry
100%.
Right? Okay, so there's excuse number 1. Excuse number 2, it's February, right? It's
not
in
quite,
the middle.
Brother. January is long. We're still in January somehow.
I know. It's the end of It's the end of January, early, whatever. We're still in January. Sure, you're right. But it's the dog days of the season for, I think, everyone involved. You heard, if you're watching the broadcast tonight, they go to Elliot and they're like, are you excited? And he's like, no. It's because I think everybody who follows this sport, the fans, the media, the players, around this time of year, it starts to settle in where you can get a little tired. And, regular on my show, Christopher Stieg talks about this all the time, where it's if you look at his career, I think it's January or February, one of those 2 months, he just scored 0 goals throughout his entire career. He had 1 month that he took off every single season, and it's either January or February. You can look it up if you're a fan of the show. It's he craters in that month. So sure, Stars don't have it every night, and it's the dog days, and Toronto's dark and dreary and cold, and they live here. So they're probably going through some of the stuff too. All right. That's the end of excuse talk. Now it's time for, I don't want to hear anymore about they need a break. Oh,
I need a break. They don't need a break. I need a break from watching these guys.
These guys, not you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying that the collective you saying they need a break has been pervasive to me in terms of my life, my group chats, my friends, other media members, people who talk about them. Oh, they just need a break. They need a break. Oh God, they just need a break. that's what the off season is. Okay. They get a break. They're teachers. They work hard during the season. They will get some form of an all-star break, but you are highly, highly, highly compensated professionals. You know who needs a break? Farmers need a break. People who work in the mines need a break. I hate hearing about how professional athletes in their 20s and early 30s are so exhausted from having to play a kids game that we should be giving them some type of reprieve when they show up and absolutely dog it in front of high-paying customers, don't move their legs because they need a break. Everyone understands that they're human beings. I hate human being talk, break talk, all this stuff. You're paid millions of dollars. That's what the money's for. Go out and play hockey. Your job is really, in the grand scheme of things, not all that hard. You are compensated very well. I don't want to hear about how you need a break. Sam McKee needs a break. Toronto Maple Leafs players, you do not need a break. End of rant.
Good. Well said. Very well said, buddy. Not a whole lot to add. I know that the human talk has been hot recently.
Oh,
human talk with Riley, human talk, he had a kid in the offseason. I missed the part where he had
Morgan Riley, first athlete ever to have a kid, I guess.
I didn't know he had an Amish style family at home with no electricity. Like, I don't know good Lord. It's just, I don't know what happened to that. I don't know. I completely agree with everything you said. So we can move past it.
Okay.
What's the next thing you want to talk about?
Well, I think it does fit in that the first goal of the game is like just a sleepy, tough play where Morgan Riley gets bodied behind the net and the puck goes in. And I keep hearing the stats guys tell me that Morgan Riley's plus minus doesn't matter. And then I see plays like this and I go, I don't know. I kind of think it does.
Yeah, it matters. When the other guys in your team that were playing together and when they're way up on the plus side and then you are by far way down on the minus side, it's telling. I've always said that around the median for the plus minus, if you're -1 or -2 or +1 or +2, I don't really think it matters. And I'll have that argument. But if you're plus a lot, like people are like, oh, Nick Lindstrom, like, oh, he was plus 1,000 for his career. That matters. Like that's telling. And when you're -17 halfway through a season, when you're a team's number one paid defenseman, that's a problem. And these numbers just continue to grow. And I've gotten, this is the number one whipping boy now. I mean, some guy tweeted me tonight. He's like, you guys need to be more. I'm like, how much more can we say? How much more is there to say about what's happening with Morgan Riley? He's been really bad. And it's hanging over this team. And I don't know what else I can say about it. It's just, they need to go to church every Sunday morning and pray that to the hockey gods that this figures out or that he turns it around, because I don't know if he's going to. I'm really at the point now where I don't know if he's going to turn it around.
Yeah. It's getting harder and harder to envision. I got to say though, too, in his defense on this play, like, yeah, he gets out muscled and you'd like to see him play a little bit more physical there, of course. Right. But like, this is a situation where I will say, like, he does have tough body position with it. Like it's a good play by the forward, just like boxing him out, getting the puck in front. Pontus Holmberg, brother, you got to wake up. Like, you're just puck watching there. You're the support player. Like, I don't know exactly what he's doing on that play. I'm a little bit more offended by him on that goal than I am Morgan Riley.
For sure.
All right.
And you're supposed to be a defensive conscious guy. Yeah. And everybody that's ever played hockey at any level, keep your stick on the ice when you're in a defensive position around the ice. And it's like he's got it up near his waist. Puck goes right under where his stick should be, like, and he misses it. It's in the back of your knife, in the back of your net, bang, bang here. And they don't have Tavares, so that's why Holmberg's elevated. And I think he's been better, and I think he's really trying. Like, Berube was talking about it at practice this morning, being like, I think there's more to give there offensively. I'm like, brother, I don't think there is. I know you're an NHL coach and you're with them every day, but Chief, I'm going to have to disagree. I've watched it too much. Like, there's not a whole lot there.
Well, I will say that
he makes and then I'm watching throughout this game. I'm like, and then he makes the only really good offensive play in the game where he sets him up I'm like, oh, now I'm an idiot. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say this about Holmberg's game. Like, I do think that he has taken a bit of a step recently offensively. I've noticed, and we've talked about this before, but that the zone entries for a team that has struggled to get them, he has been helpful with that. And I don't know how much of that is the attention that's being given to William Nylander on these plays, that he's able to break in a little bit more. I'd have to just like actually look over some of these plays with a little bit more fine detail to actually diagnose what it's been. I've liked some of the offensive progression, but I just know that when push comes to shove, he's not going to be a guy that's ripping pucks in the net or can get hot and ends up being somewhere like a even Yarncroc level, right? Where you can expect like the 16 to 18 goal type of season. I don't think that's on the table for him, but he did make a nice play to Nylander. But that brings me to the other topic of the game. I like the idea of the Leafs having to drive their own lines. I'm still just not really sure while William Nylander is the only guy on the team that is ever asked to do that. Like Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews lose Matthew Nyes, and automatically Bobby McMahon, who is like consistently been a good fit for William Nylander, jumps up to the top line. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to continue to pilfer from the William Nylander tree. And Nylander can be a frustrating player. Again, he didn't have a shot going into the third period. He was as guilty as anybody in this game in terms of
breakaway, so it doesn't count as a shot. But
right, he did get the breakaway. You're right. Yeah. He did have the breakaway. Of course, he has a breakaway every single night. Don't forget that he has a breakaway. But he scores the goal, and then he makes this spectacular pass later in the game. I think it was to Ekman Larsson.
It was to Ekman Larsson. Yeah, cross-seam backhand sauce.
Gorgeous pass. And I was sitting there just thinking to myself, can he get a line mate? Can you just give him a chance to play with somebody with some regularity? Again, no, the team is missing guys, but why is the strategy always just give him whatever dog's breakfast line mates and continue to pump the best remaining left winger, the best remaining winger on the team up with the two best guys? Like, I just don't understand it. In a position where you're needing some offense, maybe get a little bit creative. Why is it that you're not ever asking the other two guys to try and drive a line, and it's always just the one dude and give them whatever hodgepodge of player? It's perplexing to me.
He
deserves better. Like William Nylander deserves better.
It's agree boys tonight, but in our chat, Irv Blitzer said it's 3 straight games with only scoring 1 goal. But yes, let's keep Marner and Matthews together. And this is something I was hammering with you all game. This was the ultimate defibrillator game where wakey here, fellas. I'm going to put Bobby McMahon with Matthews and Domi. I'm going to put Nylander and Holmberg and Marner or Camp or what, like just change it up. Give it a different look. Take away some of the complacency that some of these guys have. And sure, did Matthews and Marner have okay shifts? Yeah, they're the only guys, like you said off the top.
They're Matthews and Marner, and they're playing with the best winger on the team. I expect them to have some good shifts.
There's so much on them to score right now with the amount of passengers that are on this hockey team. I totally understand that. But spread it out. Try to turn some of your passengers into drivers here. It's just you're having the two guys that could do so much for the rest of your lineup, just go up to the top and do their thing. I understand they're good together. I understand they're buds. I understand the inmates have run the asylum here for however many years, but Berube's got to know the beats of this team that you need to break them up here and there to remind them. You need to break them up. Like, it's like you do this with everybody. All the stars across the league have had this where they're together for a while. They even broke up the perfection line in Boston once in a while. It's just they've been together too long, and they've tried it a couple times this year, barely. But when they've both been healthy, they've played mostly together. And tonight was a perfect opportunity just to take the defibrillator to it. Try to wake up this guy. Try to wake up the building. It's just, it's hard to watch them keep doing it.
I thought of something with the building. By the way, I'd like to say before this, like the Leafs fans have been taking a beating.
They're trying tonight. There's goalies goes. And it was a horrible game.
I agree. I think that they gave them a lift in the third period, right? There was nothing. I'm not criticizing anybody for the first two periods because the Leafs gave you nothing. But, I thought of something thinking about the crowd and the team tonight with the second period. People who look like their dogs?
Yes.
That's the Leafs and their crowd.
Yeah, it's good. I like that. I like that.
That's the Leafs and their crowd where it's like, sleepy basset hound, sleepy looking guy, like sleepy product, sleepy crowd. They look the exact same.
Me and Lou Dog have the same boiler right now, so we're looking at
you and Lou Dog. I gotta go away for a hot little wedding in a couple of weeks, so I'm trying to keep the belly down. I'm gonna already be the pasty guy on the beach. I can't have the boiler
hit the bed before. Just hit the tanner. You got to go get a base. Hit the bed.
I thought about it. I actually looked into it. I looked into trying to get the base. Somebody told me that there's no science to support it, and I say no way. Like,
disagree. That's whatever science, wrong.
Yeah, like wrong. No way. I know they're horrifically unhealthy for you, but like
just one won't hurt you.
Yeah, a couple won't hurt. But I looked into it. The thing is like they don't exist anymore. I got to go to like a strip mall in Brampton. They're not.
Fabutan doesn't want to sponsor the pod.
Like, I think that the beating they took from a PR standpoint and from spray tans have basically eliminated the tanning bed industry. So
a strip mall in Brampton. I'm gonna name my punk album that.
Yeah, I just think it's a tough dig right now to get around. It's like, am I really gonna get out of the city limits for the tan, or I'm just gonna eat the sunburn day one? I don't know.
Anyways, we somehow got the tanning off of your awesome comparison, but they do look like their dog. The crowd, like it's just like the crowd's sleepy and tired, and it's like a sleepy and tired guy.
Yeah,
it's such a great reflection. I forget. I saw what Instagram account was it that put out like, this is what the crowd used to be like at Scotiabank Arena. And it was the goal, like Sundin ties Game 6 conference finals.
Yeah, I was going to say conference final.
I was like, well, like, I mean, it might be like that now if that happened. It's like, literally one of the biggest goals in franchise history.
I had a bunch of people send me that, and I was like, yeah.
I would hope they're loud for that.
Yeah, like, sure. It was literally the biggest moment of my childhood.
Yeah, the dying seconds of the Game 6 of the conference final, they tie it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that was a little bit of a false equivalency, but yes, I think a lot of the crowd talk has been a bit of a tough one. But anyways, it doesn't matter because they're not playing there ever again.
No, they're on the road now, which is good. I think it's
good.
No,
but it's like, have you seen? Hold on.
It's all road. They're on the road. They're the road warriors from now on.
But hold on a second here. I actually have it written down. I wrote it in my show doc for tomorrow's pod. I'll steal it for right now. So from today until just guess how many home games do they have between now and March 13th?
I think one. Borny was talking about it today on the show.
From today until March 13th, the Leafs have 2 home games.
Okay. Wow.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
Good thing you banked some points here. And you got Stolarz
who are paying customers tonight are like, that's fine.
Yeah, thank God.
That's okay. We're all right with that.
Thank God I don't have to watch any more of that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I love this Western road trip. I think these games rock. Like Saturday night in Edmonton's amazing. I think sneaky great in Calgary too. The contrasting colors in Calgary. And it's a great jersey battle. I feel like the building's always popping there. Squids, not so much. I mean, Squids on a Thursday night, that's not exactly a marquee matchup.
Squids, people get to see how washed up Yanni Gourde is before the Leafs
and then Saturday night in Vancouver. Like, it's a good, fun road trip here. Then the break, and then they come back on the road a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah, they haven't been great away from home either. I think they're like 11-8-2 on the road. Like, they've kind of been pretty shaky on the road. So it'll be interesting to see what they have. But yeah, thankfully, the patrons at Scotiabank Arena will have a little bit of a break.
Again, they need the break. The Leafs don't need the break.
Yeah.
Leafs didn't play since Saturday, and it's like break talk. I'm like, they literally just had a break. That was the break. Those 3 days they just had was a nice little break, but whatever. Anyways, I don't have anything else from this game. Oh, I actually have one little minor rapid fire thing, which is not really sure what Austin Matthews is doing, putting the like, buddy, you're not trying to score. Why are you tipping the puck on your own goalie?
Reflex, tired brain makes you do dumb things. And he's like, I'm going to block this. I know, but you're out there. You're just like, I'm going to stop this. I'm the best. I got the best hand-eye in the world of Austin Matthews. I'm going to stop this. And he just like tipped it right into his own net. It was a beautiful tip. Like,
I'll tell you right now.
When's the last time you did that on the other net?
Yeah, good point.
Get to the middle of the ice at the other end.
Buddy, I'll tell you right now, Joe Wool will never say it. Ultimate sweetheart of a guy, right? You saw him singing on that stage for some band I've never heard of before.
Well, I saw the first 1 second of the clip. I couldn't get through the rest, but I saw.
Yeah, but like, do you know who that artist is?
Kiro? No, I'm going to sound like the oldest.
Ego? I'd never heard of them. Yeah, it was I felt very old where I was like, wait, these are like a sing-along song band? Holy crap. I'm out. I got no idea who you are. But internally, there's nothing that would piss you off more than that.
You'd be really mad. 100%. Yeah. The other thing I'll say, I thought Gustafsson was pretty good in the third. When they turned it up, I thought he made some pretty solid saves, and he's going to be the starter for Sweden now that Markstrom's hurt and Allmark's kind of been banged up. They just called up Eriksson, so he's a good goalie. And that was a great trade by the Sens. Really good stuff there. They traded him for Cam Talbot, I believe. Oopsies.
Yeah, Sens, like, they seem to have it a little figured out now.
Yeah,
like
they made some rotten ones there.
Yeah, but it just felt like year after year of just butcher jobs by them. Like a guy's good, they acquire the good guy, then he sucks for you. Then anybody that leaves good somewhere else. Like that was the Senators' pattern. But anyway, we're off on Saturday night. We're at a wedding, so we won't be doing Leafs Oilers. So subscribe to our other podcast where, we'll be covering some of the stuff from Monday because I'll probably, there's no football on Sunday, so I'll probably watch the recorded version of it while I'm sitting on the couch completely hungover from what is going to be a banger.
I'm not going to have a drop at Vic's wedding, but you know me, I'm a good boy.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll be locked into the game on Sunday morning, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, watching the reruns. Yeah. I mean, I might, you know, those little stands. I might just bring a little stand for the table and I'll get the Leaf game going. Vic wouldn't be offended. He'd be thrilled if I did that.
Yeah,
his wife might not be. Amanda might be a little sour.
Yeah, his wife probably not so much. I will admit that
I'll have an earbud in, like I'm like a Colombian guy watching a soccer game. I'll have one earbud in.
Right before the season, before we did Leafs Talk, I was at a wedding for a Leafs playoff game, and I was doing that at the table, like during the speeches, like had it under for the Bruins playoff game. I actually did a Kipper and Bourne hit beforehand.
Really?
I called into your guys' show, did a hit from like the streets. And then went into the wedding and then, watched the game at my table. And I was like the guy with the phone where people were like, are you alone? I was like, yeah, I got Rogers Goodnight. Anyway.
That's the problem though. Like you can't bring
It's like you become
the heat. Because then the boys start flocking around and then you're the bad guy. So
but that's what I mean. I just don't think you can do it for a regular season game. I just think that's a faux pas. Like playoff game, everybody's in, everyone understands. Sorry, but your wedding is now less important.
And it's now a playoff game watch party is what you're.
Well, the thing is, it's like if you have a wedding during a playoff game, then you become like the talk of, oh, can you believe your wedding's on it? You just have to embrace. You just have to embrace and make it a part of it. Otherwise, people are going to be sneaking off and trying to get it somewhere. Like it's just going to happen. Like it's going to happen. You just got to submit and allow it to happen. Anyway, so we're off. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkus, at Sam A. McKee.
JD on the beach.
Yeah, probably. I wish I'd kill for that color. I'd kill for that.
I'm not a Friends guy, but
what a touch. I was like, show dug that one up. Big Friends guy, knew the reference, knew the pull.
He loves. I guarantee Show is big Friends guy.
I think my friends take quickly since it's a shorter Leafs talk is that it gets hated on too much. Like it's not in, to me, the pantheon of like the all-time great shows, but the first like 3 or 4 seasons, basically before Monica and Chandler dated, were elite. Those were elite seasons, but it ran for like 18 years and most of them are bad. But
everybody was like super tanned at the end. That's all I remember. Like the last season, everyone was like looking like you on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think people, it's like it's a soft target for people to launch into, but like you can't tell me that you didn't watch those first 3 seasons and didn't think they were good. They were. Early Chandler,
it was like the most popular show on TV for a really long time.
Exactly. It's just a soft target. It's easy to hate on. So stop hating on it. Don't be so basic. It's like the pineapple of pizza or pineapple on pizza debate of TV shows. All right. We're back on
Tuesday against the Flames, 9:00.
Yeah. I'm doing that one.
You're doing that one?
Yeah, I'm doing that one. That's not too late for you, boy. I'll do a 9:00.
Then you're skipping Squids on Thursday. I'll do that one with Ailish or something.
Correct. I do a 9 a.m. show. I'm not staying up to watch the Sharks and Squids on this road trip. So get ready to learn Ailish for those shows.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday or Tuesday.
You're on Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
Game, all right. So, no big surprise there. Then they go into Detroit and whoop them. And Detroit was putting up points as the Eagles did, so there's going to be some things they need to work on defense, clearly. But they were able to create turnovers. And Washington, all of a sudden, found itself in the NFC Championship game. Sometimes when you're ahead of schedule like this, the expectations, the timeline shifts. So there's going to be more people that are going to kind of pencil them into a wild card spot, maybe even the NFC East, if they like the offseason better than what Philly brings back. And we'll see with them having one more game to go what kind of the thinking is there. But Washington is certainly now going to have some expectation. And there's a couple of things you can do with expectations. You can rise to that level and meet it, or you can kind of go back a little bit. Even if Washington doesn't get back to this spot, they should still be in a better place going forward, which may not make a lot of sense because you're going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But this is a team that when we look at the Commanders year to year over the next 3-4 years, they are going to get better year in and year out. This will be the worst version of this team, at least under Jaden Daniels' rookie contract. They will continue to make improvements. They will continue to add in the draft. They are becoming a free agency destination where they were not for many years, again, because of the Snyder ownership and just how bad everything was surrounding the football team, not to mention what was going on the field. And a lot of these guys just aren't going to come back at all. They have a league low 34 players under contract. So that's a little more than half their team, which means a little less than half their team is going to be gone if they don't re-sign them. There's some free agents they can re-sign if they'd like. If Bobby Wagner, linebacker, wants to come back, maybe Jeremy Chin, safety, Zach Ertz, tight end. So maybe some of these guys that are free agents, they're going to find a way to bring back into the fold if both parties agree. But they also have more roster space and the means to fill that roster space. They've got the third most cap space in the league with $87.5 million. They're going to draft late in a lot of rounds. 3 of their 7 picks are in the last round, so I don't know how many reinforcements they're going to get via the draft. They're looking to improve their offensive line. They're looking to improve the secondary. They're going to look to improve the pass rush. But this is a team with a good foundation. The culture's been established.